The 2025 schedule release is finally here. And Trey Hendrickson talks are firing back up on the lakefront. Is it possible? Let's talk about it next. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Belly There podcast, and as always, I got Kyle and I got Jason, and it's a Wednesday. It's beautiful outside. What's going on, boys?
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man?
I'm all fired up. I got out of sick bay. I'm almost there. I'm about 90%, but I'm juiced up because the Bears schedule is out. And if these early leaks are true, holy crap, is this going to be a tough trek for the Chicago Bears in 2025? But I don't mind the schedule, and I can say the three of us sitting right here on this show already have tickets to, let's say, the home opener on the lakefront. So, yes, we got tickets today for the Bears and the Vikings. We're going to be sitting a little bit higher than normal. Tickets are a little bit high and astronomical, but you know what? I'm going to be in the building. This is going to be my 27th straight Chicago Bears home opener. Giddy the fuck up. Let's go. Jason will be joining me, and I believe he's, if not 27, he's pretty gosh darn close to it. So
I'm with you. I think we've been to every single one of them. And honestly, if we're being honest with ourselves, breaking news, Bruce, what's going on? Everybody else that is logged in here, what's going on? But there was a COVID year, and we would have gone. They just didn't let us. So we don't count it.
That doesn't count. It should be 28 straight years. That's for damn sure. But unfortunately, we had COVID break that streak. But that's like one of those asterisks that we put on the list. Ryan Poles teams at 3-15 versus division face the Vikings and Lions. Yikes! Don't be surprised for an 0-2 start. Well, Melon Smasher, we're going to talk about that because I don't see an 0-2 start. Maybe a 1-1 start. But I'm going to wish Minnesota a lot of luck coming in on Monday night. They don't play as well as they do when all their fans have got that stupid chant up in Minnesota on the grass in Chicago. We usually get them when it's a little colder outside, but I'll take them on opening day. I'll take my chances. Minnesota, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. So, Kyle, as we get into this, you guys want to talk about Trey Hendrickson first? You want to get right into the schedule?
Let's talk about Trey Hendrickson first because the schedule is going to develop as our show goes here with the schedule being released mid-show. So let's get the Hendrickson stuff going.
So, yeah, he's about $40 million a year, and I know that this was kind of like, I don't know, it was talk beginning of camp, but it really seems to be accelerated because Trey Hendrickson, I personally think unless something happens, he's going to be getting that Chris Jones treatment where Chris Jones sat on the bench and watched his team for the first couple of weeks. He doesn't seem like if he doesn't get what he wants, that he's going to play for the Cincinnati Bengals this year. So whether he comes to Chicago or whether he goes someplace else, I have SI is reporting that the Lions are the number 1 suitor for him. I believe Washington would be a great fit for him. Kyle pre-show brought up a good point in saying Buffalo would be a sensational landing spot for him. So boys, before we get into these other possible suitors, what do you guys think of him possibly landing on the lakefront, being an edge rusher for our Chicago Bears?
I mean, I'll go first, Kyle. I mean, the idea of it is awesome. Like, would I want him on our team? Absolutely. You know, we were talking about it before the show started, and I got the stats pulled up here on NFL Plus Pro. He's the only defensive lineman that basically is top 10 in snaps, pressures, sacks, quarterback pressures, and quarterback pressure percentage. He's the only guy last year, and he would have made it last year, but I think he just missed the snap count. You know, he's got 35 sacks in 2 years. I mean, the guy's production is ridiculous. Now, his age is a little bit high, so that's probably what's scaring some of these teams off and wanting to sign him for $40 million, but he's going to have an immediate impact no matter where he goes. If he stays with Cincinnati or comes to the Bears or goes to Washington or goes to Buffalo or goes to Detroit. I really did not want him to go to Detroit, but, you know, A lot of it has to do with salary cap and his age, but I mean, if the Bears take him, that's great. The only problem is who are we giving up? Because we're going to have to move some people around. I don't want to give up Cole Kmet because I think that takes away our 12 sets because we really don't have any other good tight ends after Cole Kmet. I don't want to give up another edge rusher or somebody on defense because I think right now the most holes that we have on our team are on defense. So I'd love to have him. I just don't think the Bears are going to get him.
Hey, and really quick before Kyle gives his thoughts, Melon Smasher, all of you guys talking schedule, we're going to touch on this and we're going to get right into the schedule because I definitely want to address some of this Melon Smasher stuff. And Jebediah, Jesus Christ, if he goes to Philadelphia, I'm just going to walk away from football for the year.
That's not fair.
Really,
the NFL has to say no.
Kyle, what you got, brother?
I mean, I agree with Jason. Would Trey Hendrickson be really good for the Bears? Yeah, absolutely. He'd be good for anybody. He's one of the best defensive ends in football. But I mean, we've done this before. The Bears signed Khalil Mack. It wasn't enough to win a championship. This is a piece that you would add if you feel like you're like a playoff team that's on the fringe of being a Super Bowl team. This is not a player you add for knowing you're not going to be the Super Bowl this year. I mean, you guys, he's going to be 31 in December. That means by the time you're competing for a Super Bowl, this guy's going to be 32 years old while you're paying him $40 million a year. That's the problem with guys like Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson should ask for this money last year. It's like, Hendrickson, you want to get paid for what you did over the last 3-4 years of your career, but those were probably the best years of your career. You're going to be 31 years old in December. Maybe you're getting 2 more really dominant years out of Trey Hendrickson, and then it's going to start to fall off, guys. Nobody beats Father Time. Trey Hendrickson's best days are probably behind him. He's going to be 31 years old in the middle of the season this year. I like him a lot. I think he deserves to get paid. I don't know about $40 million a year, but I don't want it to be on the Chicago Bears, Sean. No, like I said, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, to me, that's the piece that puts us over the top and gives us a much more realistic chance of winning the Super Bowl. That's bringing him to Chicago to waste a year of his career. It's like you were, Sean, that snippet you played from that podcast a couple weeks ago. You don't draft a running back knowing you're not going to be the Super Bowl for 3 years and waste his first 3 years of his contract or of his prime on a losing team. You draft a running back or sign a running back just like the Eagles did last year with Saquon Barkley as the cherry on top, the last piece to be a Super Bowl contender. To me, that's what this Trey Hendrickson move would be for the Bears. You'd have to be sure that you're going to compete for a championship this year, and I don't believe the Bears are. So no, I would not like that move at all.
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I just spelled bear down wrong. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. I'm still sick. I can't
Bear
erase
Dewan, dude. That's from the South Side.
Yeah, I'm from the South Side now. Don't worry about a thing. No, for me, I'm with you guys. I think the Bears can develop some pieces and quite possibly add something next year or as they get closer, save the money. He's gonna. I do feel like he's gonna get moved. After his interview just the other day that he had, and I actually have it here. It's a little long-winded, but I mean. I just do not see. I see the two sides between Cincinnati and him. It's like the Grand Canyon right now. I don't know if they can fix it. I think that there's been so much bad ill will displayed from Cincinnati towards Trey Hendrickson that he's about had enough. So, he already said he's going to sit in the box, fix my contract, or I'm out. You watch Chris Jones do it. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. So
what I don't understand is why does Cincinnati wait? Because it just gets more and more expensive. They did it with Jamar Chase. I know the guys were under contract, but you know who Jamar Chase is. You don't need another year of production to see who he's going to be. They should have signed him last year to a large extent.
I agree.
It's dumb. That's the one thing Poles does right. He doesn't wait. If he thinks he likes a guy, he signs him now because that's when they're cheapest.
Jason, are you saying that it's not a smart business decision to pay a wide receiver after he gets the triple crown in the NFL? That's not smart.
Yeah, Cincinnati's dropped the ball in a number of things. Well, I'm sure as the steam picks up and more shows go by, we'll see what happens and we'll get back to this. But everybody's jumping in on this schedule, so we're not going to wait. We're going to get right into this thing. This is a tentative schedule until it officially does.
About 50 minutes from now, Sean.
Yeah, about 15 minutes from now. From all the leaks that have happened this far, we've plugged this together, and this is what we believe our 2025 Chicago Bears schedule will look like. And boy, is that a tough road from week, let's say, if you threw out the Saints game from week 6 to week 15. That's one, and I know the Giants are in there, guys, but we've talked.
Well, Sean, and even after week 15, you finished with the Packers, Niners, and Lions. That's basically from week 6 on. This schedule is absolutely.
I just saw the
grueling.
Browns there and was like, "Oh, there's a break."
Yeah. Oh yeah, we get to play Myles Garrett and Mason Graham.
Yeah, this is a brutal schedule, but we kind of knew this coming in based on who was on the schedule without it being announced. Having to play at Baltimore, at the Bengals, versus Pittsburgh. Both division games at the Niners. This schedule was going to be a juggernaut no matter what. The Bears definitely got hosed by playing the AFC North, because that is a physical, probably top 3 division in all of football. And not only do we have to play them, we almost play them, every week in a row here? 8, 9, and 12. So you get a little Giants-Vikings break in between there, but woof.
Well, regardless of how the schedule plays out, what week we play who, the Bears have the second hardest schedule in the NFL this season, behind only the New York Football Giants. So, yeah, you're talking about a team with a second-year quarterback trying to learn a new system. This is going to be a tough schedule for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. This is the toughest schedule they've had in a long time.
You play that to be easy. You play it because it's hard, So the schedule is just basically based on the last years. All these teams' last year's win percentages. That's why they call it the toughest schedule, or the second toughest. Like we were saying before, one key injury to a quarterback or an edge rusher or running back or a wide receiver, these teams could have drastically different futures. So
for sure.
I like playing Minnesota first. I want to beat and destroy that rookie quarterback. And then honestly, if I'm going to play the Lions, I don't like playing them at the end of the year, to be honest with you, but I do like playing them week 2. I think they're going to be good, but they're still going to be, setting the pace for themselves as well. So
actually, I think playing them. I think playing them at the end of the year is perfect. You got to get Jared Goff in Chicago in December and January, and
hopefully the Lions are already got 14 wins, and they're just riding it out to the.
Hopefully they have.
Broski asked how we did this. We've been watching the leaks all day. Most of the schedule has been released. It's obviously tentative, and we'll find out in about 50 minutes, as I just wrote in the chat. But we know for sure the Vikings and the Bears on Monday Night Football. We've heard confirmed Bears-Lions in week 2. We've also confirmed Cowboys-Bears in week 3. We heard confirmed Chicago-Washington on Monday Night Football week 6. Yep. We've also had confirmed week 8 and 9 with Baltimore and the Bengals.
And 10.
I didn't see anything confirmed on week 10 for sure. Myself personally, maybe you guys did. We know week 16 versus the Packers was confirmed. And the 49ers were confirmed, because I believe I saw a release with all of the Monday night or the Sunday night football games that were on it. So obviously week 13 against the Eagles, the Black Friday was confirmed right here. Black Friday, Lincoln Financial Field, Prime Video. And then you have obviously the doubleheader that was announced yesterday as well. Philadelphia, Washington, Bears, and that team from up north and I believe the Bears are going to be, from what I understood when this was released yesterday, the Bears are going to be the night game, and the Eagles and Washington will play at 3:30, which I personally think is awesome that we're getting the rub over the Super Bowl champions.
The NFC Championship matchup. Yeah. You know what, Sean, that Giants game, I think, was confirmed because all of Giants' schedule was released. So we just knew by default that that's who the Bears are playing.
Yeah, Kyle, you just missed it. But we were
sorry, man. My dog is just going crazy right now.
No worries. We just confirmed, some of the leaks. I didn't get a chance to get all the leaks into the system today because I had a busy day. But through the leaks on Twitter, through Jordan Schultz, one of my favorite NFL insiders, he's pretty much been leaking the schedule across the league all day. So,
Sean, real quick, sorry, is this a new listener here, guys?
What's that?
Is this a new listener or a new
Emil
listener?
I think so.
Emil?
Oh, yeah, it is.
What's up, Emil? Thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Emil. If you want to see where you stand in terms of the rest of the NFL, you got to play the best, man. There's only thing you can do. Eventually, you're gonna have to run these teams at some point. So, Might as well get it out of the way early.
Here, guys, as we take a look at this schedule, I just want to say one thing to everybody, man. I'm going to give an honest and grounded take, and I hope everyone is okay with this, but we've kind of talked about a lot of these things through the last couple of weeks. So I'm just going to sum up where I am with the Chicago Bears. I think this is a 7, 8, possibly 9, maybe 10-win team if things go right. If I had to pick it right now, I'm probably at 7 or 8. The interior line concerns for me are very real. Joe Thuney, while elite, is 32, coming off a pectoral injury. He's durable historically, but age plus deep playoff runs have definitely added some wear. You have Jonah Jackson, who is a clear upgrade from Nate Davis. But again, he's more solid than special. I'm grading him a C+ to a B, which hopefully for you guys, that's fair. Depth to me is razor thin. You got Doug Kramer, Ryan Bates. You got Newman the Rook. You got an unproven Karan Amagaji. You have Chapilo, your top pick. So, to me, this could be a steep drop-off if we sustain injuries on this offensive line. And I'm saying you start putting it together with duct tape and you're hoping for the scheme to hold it together. Things could get a little dicey, especially with this system. The other hard part for me is the coaching staff growing pains. Ben Johnson is a bright offensive mind. We have no doubt about that. But jumping from OC to head coach is no small leap. Leadership, in-game decisions, managing a whole team. It's whole new territory for Ben. Although we all do see him as very smart and well put together. These are still things. Installing the new offensive system, that always takes time, even for top-tier talents. You have a second-year quarterback in a new system, possibly some line instability. You hope it's going to stick together. This is all the cocktail that needs to settle over some time. For me, the big picture is, I'm not saying not to be optimistic, but blind hype helps no one. This team could easily be good, but this team has no proven depth, a second-year quarterback, a brand new system, and a long history of heartbreak. So I'm not saying don't believe, I'm saying you don't win the what I am saying, is you don't win the crown in May. There's let's celebrate the moves, but let's just keep our seatbelt fastened, because I think this is going to be a very bumpy ride for the Chicago Bears through 2025. So thank you guys for bearing with me while I just spieled that out. But I was thinking about this while I was sick yesterday, and I was just like, God, I have to get this out, because fool me once, awesome. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I'm not saying, hey, the Bears, don't be optimistic. The Bears can't be a playoff team. Sure, they can. But I still do think you need a perfect mix of a lot of things to come together. And when you start looking at a schedule where you play at Washington on Monday Night Football, then you go at the Ravens, at the Bengals, you play the Giants, whose defensive line is stocked, locked, and loaded. Then you go to Minnesota. Then you play the Steelers. Then you play the Eagles. Then you play the Packers. That's all I'm saying, guys. I'm sure the Bears can be competitive with some of these teams. I'm just saying, fasten that seatbelt and get ready for things not to go exactly the way that you planned.
Well,
Boys,
Sean, you know what's hard? You know what's hard about it? There's no get right part of the schedule. It's like you get an easy team and then 3 hard ones. And then you get an easy team and then 2 hard ones. And then there's no
right.
stretch where, hey, we got the Saints, the Giants, the Browns. It doesn't exist. And everybody else in the schedule is just brutal. So, when you got the Giants, and then you're away at the Vikings, we were talking about before the show. That ain't going to be an easy game in Minnesota. We're probably going to lose that one. It's going to be a very, very long road. What I'd like to see is some really close games. And maybe this year our defensive interior line can help those edge rushers get some pressure this year, because last year was abysmal. And maybe that will help slow down some of these opposing quarterbacks and offenses. But other than that, you just got to cross your fingers and, like you said, buckle in and wait.
Yeah, I mean, this team is ultimately, we could talk about the depth. We could talk about the new offensive line additions, the draft, all we want. Guys, ultimately, the Bears' win-loss record is going to come down to how quickly Caleb Williams can pick up this new system. If Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback, and he's a guy who's capable for throwing for 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns, the Bears could make the playoffs this season if he's a quick learner. It's ultimately going to come down to how fast he can pick these things up. Right. If it's a tough transition and learning how to play under center, learning Ben Johnson's offense, if it's something they have to bring him along slowly with, if it's too complicated, too confusing, and it's something, it's one of these situations where they can only open up the playbook a little bit more every single week, then yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty long season for the Bears. But you guys, let's get into it. I mean, Let's go through these games one at a time here, Sean.
Yeah,
Week one.
and really quick, Dante, I agree with you 100% here. Dante says, Sean, the Bears have a similar schedule as their division rivals. They just need to beat the teams in the NFC North. Yes, they do have to beat the NFC North, but that middle of the schedule is a gauntlet. You're playing some of the best teams in football, and I don't know that the Bears are at that level yet. I hope they are. Look, I'm the biggest Bears fan as anybody else. I hope they go through from week 6 to week 14 and they go undefeated. I really do. I just think there's a steep learning curve, and hopefully it does get better as the season goes along. I fully expect it to get better as the season goes along because I think they got the right coaches in place. I think they have a very, very long roster of smart players. You listen to these guys speak, you can tell they're intelligent and they pick up things, and you just know that they're going to fall into the system. But again, it's going to take time. It's just not week one. I mean, if they come out against Minnesota and drop 50 points, hey, I'll come out on Tuesday and tell everyone I was wrong. But still,
the Saints dropped 50 points in their first game last year. That doesn't mean they're going to have a good season.
And that's true too. And I do agree, Broski Bear, with you. And that's kind of what I was saying. Despite most Bears fans think this season is all about taking a step in the right direction, I do agree. I think it is. It is, and I think Kyle. I don't know where Jay is on this, but Kyle and I have talked about it. This year's about developing Caleb Williams, getting him used to the system, building this organization around your diamond, and your diamond is Caleb Williams. And if that takes another year, awesome. But I do think you'll see throughout the years the improvement in his game, the improvement in how they read the system. If you go back to Detroit, when Ben Johnson got there, his first couple of years were okay. It took him a little while to get acclimated to the system before they became.
Well, Sean, it also took the right personnel. Real quick, guys, I want to say thank you. Thank you. Give a shout out to everybody. We have 90 people in the building. We appreciate you guys so much. Scott, Melon Smasher, Erica, Broski, Dante, Jebediah, everybody who's joining us today. Breaking News, Bruce. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Emil, first-time listener. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, guys. And let's get into the schedule one game at a time here. So week one, it sounds like this one's almost a guarantee. The Vikings will be coming to Chicago Monday night. So it is a primetime game for the Chicago Bears, in which I believe they have Sean, 6? 5?
I believe they have.
So
hold on, let's take a look.
Oh, Neil, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, unless something comes out that we.
Yeah, they could always flex a game, especially if like that Lions game at the end of the season. If for some reason these two teams were battling for the division, that game would surely get flexed.
Thanks, Neil.
All right, Jason, you go first here, man. What's your prediction for week one against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night in Chicago?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be a bit of an ugly game. I don't predict maybe a very high score here, because as much as I think the rookie quarterback, JJ McCarthy, is going to start and maybe have a slower start. And by slow, I don't mean, like a 50-point game here. I'm talking, we might have like a 21-24 type of game. The Bears are also going to have their own growing pains with a new offense and a new coordinator and a new team. So I think the Bears come out ahead here. Thankfully, we're at home. I'm going to be there with you two knuckleheads. So I definitely predict a win. I think we're like the last 2 or 3 years here. I think we're undefeated here on the home opener. So I think the Bears can do it. Hey, if we can beat San Francisco at home on a home opener, we can beat Minnesota at home in a home opener.
I think we had some circumstances that
the rain helped. The rain helped.
Sure.
Last year in Chicago, this was an interesting game because if everyone remembers, it was a very close, game coming into halftime. It was 14-10 Minnesota.
Overtime.
Yeah, it did go into overtime. It was 14-10 coming out of halftime. Minnesota came out in the third quarter, scored 10 points. The Bears and Caleb Williams rallied to score 17 points in that fourth quarter. Caleb was 32 of 47 melon smasher for 340 yards melon smasher and 2 touchdowns melon smasher and 6 rushing attempts for 33 yards in that ball game. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, who's no longer with the Bears, they had 16 catches for 190 plus yards. I don't see why they can't replicate that with Roma Dunze, get some of the new pieces involved. I do think running against them is going to be hard. The Bears tried last year, 22 for 78, 3.5 yards per carry. That was a brutal game trying, and they added Hargrove and they added Jonathan Allen to the front of that defensive back. They did get a big addition at the cornerback position in Isaiah Rodgers. And if you look over Isaiah Rodgers' career, he's really good he's really good against the run. He's been an 80 plus on PFF against the run, a 75 against the pass, and seeing that 60 is league average. This is a solid addition to the secondary for the Minnesota Vikings. But as the Bears tend to do quite often, beat Minnesota in Chicago, I'm going to stick with the Bears winning this football game. Do I have to give a score?
No, absolutely. Way too early. First of all, these are way too early win-loss predictions, guys. This is not after, like Jason said, preseason. Maybe Jaden Daniels tears his ACL. You would change that loss to a win, right? You never know what's going to happen. But as far as we know, this is the schedule. We're just going to go to way too early win-loss predictions. You guys, I'm going to take the Bears to win Week 1 against the Vikings, and here's why. First of all, like Jason said, I do believe ultimately J.J. McCarthy is going to start for this team. And I don't know why you wouldn't. I like Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell probably gives them a better chance to win in Week 1. But you should get the quarterback of the future on the field as early as you possibly can. Let him start to learn right now, especially with Kevin O'Connell. He's got one of the greatest coaches in the NFL, one of the greatest.
You drafted him last year for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, this is your franchise quarterback. This is a guy who they think is probably going to win them a Super Bowl at some point. Get them onto the field as early as you possibly can. I'd say the days of waiting years for these guys to sit on the bench and learn are over. But J.J. McCarthy's already gotten one of those due to injuries, so he should be ready to go. I think the Vikings are not nearly as good on the road as they are at home. Whenever you play the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, that crowd, the noise, that dome, it's always tough to play there. The Vikings always play much better on defense at home than they do on the road. Sean, you said it already. The Bears scored 17 points in that third quarter last year against the Vikings at home.
Fourth.
Or the fourth quarter, they were down, I think 10 points with 2 minutes left. They got an onside kick. They tied the game. They went to overtime. They had one of the worst coaches in the NFL in terms of finishing games. I think the Bears should have won that game, and I think the Bears are going to win this game at home. It's tough for J.J. McCarthy to go on the road on prime time Monday night into Soldier Field and pull off a win. I don't think it's going to happen. I think just by default, because J.J. McCarthy's a rookie quarterback starting the first game ever in prime time on the road, the Chicago Bears are going to win Week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. So I have them starting
against the Dennis Allen defense too, Kyle. And I'll tell you this: if it's Sam Howell, I just think it makes it a funner game. But I think he'll throw an interception that'll cost him this game at the end of the day. So
we were just looking at it. Sam Howell was in 23, 21, and 21 interception to touchdown ratio. So,
well, you guys, sometimes Brian Flores, him being so aggressive, actually bites them in the butt because the Vikings did give up points last year. Everybody thinks they were like the best defense in the NFL. Go look at their scores, guys. They had 7 or 8 games where they allowed over 24 points. It was, 30, 24, 27. This is a team that can't be had. And I think the Bears are going to – I can't believe I'm saying this because we have a new coach implementing a new system. But with the Vikings having a new quarterback, I'd say the Bears are probably going to be a little bit ahead of them just because J.J. McCarthy's got to get caught up to the NFL and the NFL speed. It's a tough game. This is not Michigan anymore. This is a totally different league. You guys know, this is the first time in a long time Bears fans are anticipating the Bears to be a good competitive football team. Soldier Field is going to be rocking. It's going to be an absolutely amazing atmosphere. Like you said, Jason, we're going to be there watching it live. It's Ben Johnson's first game as a Chicago Bear. I think the Bears are going to show up, and I think they're going to beat the Minnesota Vikings Week 1. Sean, who do we got in Week 2?
It looks like we're heading to Motown to take on Ben Johnson's old squad, which everyone wanted on opening day, which
I'm surprised it wasn't, to be honest with you.
I would have been okay with that. Opening day is so different. You never know what you're going to get. And as much as we're saying the unexpected, people don't know what to expect from Ben Johnson's offense either. So it kind of gives him an advantage in the first couple of weeks until they get some tape, because what he does in Week 1, he doesn't necessarily have to replicate in Week 2. But when you talk about familiarity, here you go in Week 2. It's going to be tough to disguise things against the team you just spent a bunch of years with running their offense. I like the Bears to start 1-1. I'm going to give this one up to Detroit. I think it'll be a competitive ball game. But at the end of the day, we're in Motown. I want to lean Bears, but right now I'm gonna take the Lions. Ugh.
Jason.
Yeah, Sean, I see what you're saying. It's basically because, I mean, they're a better team, and not just on paper. They're obviously a better team. I don't think anybody's going to argue that point. What I think is the upside for the Bears, if you're looking at anything, and again, like Kyle said, this is the way too early prediction here.
Yes,
I think it's that, we've got a coach going back to his former city. He obviously knows it's on the schedule. So he's looking at his calendar. He's going to be thinking about that a lot. He's going to get booed when he runs out onto the field. He's going to be, booed every time there's a bad call or whatever it is. I think he's got his team ready for that game. And I think that Detroit mentally might be prepared for a better, more prepared Bears team, but I don't think they're going to be ready for how prepared they're going to be, especially depending on what happens week 1. I mean, if for some reason the Bears come in and rout Minnesota week 1, and then we go in out over to Detroit to play the Lions in week 2, they're going to have a different feeling about the Bears in week 2. They're still a better team, and I think Detroit comes away with this one. It's not going to be easy in Detroit with that crowd in a dome. It's going to be very loud. But Detroit got better in the offseason. They didn't get worse. The only thing that really hurt them was they lost all their coaching staff. So I don't know. I think if you're just looking at purely personnel, edge goes to Detroit pretty much every time here. They're the second best team in the NFL.
Quick, guys, breaking news. I don't know I'm watching NFL Live. It just said Ravens and Derrick Henry agreed to a 2-year extension. So he's just got paid another $30 million to stay.
25 guaranteed.
So, booyah.
Yeah, I mean, that's risky. Those running backs, when they fall off fast. But he is a Hall of Famer, so he probably is a little bit different situation. But yeah, Sean,
he'll be very healthy too.
I agree with both of you guys. I think the Bears lose this game, but I think it's going to be very, very close. One of the things that's going to be interesting about this Lions-Bears game, guys, is I think both sides of the field, when you talk about Dan Campbell and you talk about Ben Johnson, are going to recognize some of the terminology coming out of the field from the other side of the ball. And I think it's going to make this game very interesting. I think there's going to be some mistakes made, but it's tough to go into Detroit second week of the season. That's going to be their home opener, right, Sean?
For
Detroit.
Yes,
week 2 would be their home opener.
Playing that team up north.
Yeah, so that's a tall task for the Bears to go into Detroit for their home opener with a brand new offense, a brand new coach, brand new scheme, and try to beat the Detroit Lions, who we all know have one of the best rosters in the NFL. This is a team that, whether they have new coaches or not, guys, they still have that continuity. These guys have been playing together now for 3-4 years. This is one of the best offenses in the NFL. I love what Detroit did in the offseason. They got DJ Reed, one of the best corners available. Their secondary has been their Achilles heel for as far back as I can remember. I think Detroit is finally giving it some attention. They drafted that kid last year in the secondary. He's going to be better this year. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be close, competitive, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the Lions will pull this one out.
It's a good test for the offensive line for the Bears, too, with Aiden Hutchinson fully healthy.
And the Bears on defense, they have to. It's the same as everybody keeps talking about Caleb Williams and learning a new system with a new coach. It's the same thing on the flip side, guys. The defense has to learn Dennis Allen's defense. We know that when Dennis Allen got to New Orleans, they were not a good football team, and ultimately they became one of the best defenses in the NFL under Dennis Allen. But it took them 2 years to get there, guys. This is going to be a totally new scheme and a totally new system for these players. We know he's more aggressive than Matt Eberflus was. We know he runs a lot more man than zone. So it's going to be a completely different defense. And I just think it's going to take a while for the Bears to catch up. I do think they ultimately do lose to Detroit, but it's going to be like a field goal game for sure. The Bears do match up well against the Lions. So right now I got them. I think we all have them at 1-1 to start the first 2 weeks of the season. Yep. Sean, who's next?
He's not bad for two division rivals to start off the season.
I'll take it. We got them boys. We got the Matt Eberflus revenge game in Chicago. The Cowboys come knocking. And I'll say this. I don't know what to make of Schottenheimer as a head coach. I know they're loaded on offense, and I know that they might be tough to stop offensively. I don't know what they're going to bring defensively. They've had some losses defensively. Our counterpart, one of our other co-hosts, your brother Brandon, thinks that they are going to finish in dead last in the NFC East. He said it on Monday. He said it last Thursday. He's sold on the Cowboys not being a very good football team altogether. I think they're at least a 7 to 8 win team. But I'm going to keep the Bears undefeated in Chicago. I think the defense, as long as it's healthy, can shut down Dallas enough to get this win and keep the Bears over 500 at 2-1 to start the season.
I agree with you, Sean. I think the big factor here, oddly enough, the NFL did a pretty good job with the Bears, I think, in rivals and things like that for the schedule this year. But, we're heading to go beat our old coach up as a defensive coordinator over there in Dallas. I will tell you this, the wide receiver room in Dallas looks pretty damn good. Dak Prescott, if he's healthy, pretty good quarterback. The problem is I don't think the running game is as good as people think it's going to be. And I also don't know on the defensive side of the ball if they're going to be as good. I mean, they don't blitz a lot. I mean, Eberflus doesn't blitz a lot. They're a bend and don't break defense. And I think our new improved defensive line and offensive lines win the day in this game. I don't think people are ready for it just yet. And I think by week 3, they're starting to hum and both squads are really starting to tick and work together. So I'm going to give the edge to the Bears here, not by much. It's not going to be a blowout by any means, but I
agree.
Especially if they put Eberflus in charge of timeouts, the Bears win this one.
Yeah, guys, I mean, it'd be pretty ridiculous if we picked the Bears to lose at home to the Cowboys, considering we all just did our NFC power rankings and we all had the Bears ahead of the Cowboys. So, yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the Bears right this year are a better team than the Dallas Cowboys. I actually don't hate the Dallas Cowboys roster. What I hate about the Dallas Cowboys is management, ownership, and coaching. I just don't think – I think it's kind of a lot like we've seen teams in the past who were like, how is this team not good? Look at the roster. Look at the depth chart. This team should be one of the best teams in the NFL, but they just don't have the leadership. I think that's going to continue for the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's an absolute mess over there. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm really thinking about starting to break that team up. I think Dak Prescott. I don't think Dak Prescott's going to win a Super Bowl in the NFL, guys. I really don't. And that's nothing against him personally. It seems like Sean said it, like the Cowboys have a good year, a bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. It's just so unorganized, so in such disarray over there. I think this is actually a good game for the Bears to get week 3 at home. This is the Dallas Cowboys. Get them out of the way early. I think there's going to be some coaching. I don't even know what to say. It's going to take them. There's going to be an adjustment period for them as well with Schottenheimer coming in. Matt Eberflus obviously being their defense coordinator, guys. They're in the same situation as the Bears. It's going to be a couple weeks before that team gets rolling and everybody starts to figure one another out. They build that continuity. I'm going to have the Bears winning this game in week 3. First, the Cowboys at home for sure. I think the Cowboys are going to finish somewhere in the middle of the pack in the NFC, like we talked about on the show last week, guys. I just don't think the Cowboys are as good as people think they are. They do have a dangerous offense for sure, but the Bengals had a dangerous offense last year too, and when they finished 9-8.
There's 2 better teams in their division. That's their biggest hurdle.
Yeah, and they got to play those 2 teams twice. I just don't. I think the Cowboys are a phony. This guy's a phony.
I'm going to say this, man. The Giants are going to upset some teams this year, and I think Dallas might get swept by Philly, split with Washington, and split with the Giants. The Giants' front 7
they might get swept by Washington too.
They very well could, but the Giants are going to cause a lot of teams fits. That front 7 is dangerous. It's good, and it's going to make nightmares for quarterbacks in the NFL this year. If they stay healthy, I don't know what Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors and these guys are going to do on the offense, but I'll tell you the one thing I do know and I have a lot of confidence in is that front 7 being dangerous as hell.
If Abdul Carter lives up to the hype, 100%,
yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, I agree with you, Sean. That defensive line is absolutely ferocious. It's going to be scary. They still need some help in the secondary. And guys, I'm sorry. You can put my name on this. I am very confident when I say the Giants are not going to score a lot of touchdowns this season. I think they're going to be somewhere near the bottom of the league in terms of touchdowns and points scored. And like we said, guys, we started this show off. The New York Football Giants have the toughest strength of schedule, like you said, Jason, based off of these teams' records last year. But I think it's fairly safe to say the Eagles are going to be a good team. The Commanders are probably going to be a good team. I mean, most of the teams they're playing are going to end up being good teams this year as well. So
they do have to play the NFC North too, just like
you talk about it. There's a reason they have the toughest strength of schedule. You look at the Giants' schedule; it's a rough ride for them. Man. It's brutal for a team that's probably going to be integrating a rookie quarterback at some point this season. I mean, do you guys think Russell Wilson finishes the season as the quarterback for the New York Giants, or do you think once they start the season off 2-6, 2-7, they're like, you know what? let's just get Jackson Dart in there and see what he can do. Because
I think that's
ultimately what's gonna
probably
happen.
the outcome there, Kyle. I
agree with
think
you.
it's too rough for them, and they're not paying Russell Wilson that much. I mean, unless he's throwing like lights out, they're just losing for some reason because the defense sucks. But we've already said that's probably the strong side of their team. I could see them throwing in the towel and just saying, let's throw our kid in there and see what happens.
All right, Sean, who do we got week 4?
The Raiders come a calling. Actually, we go a calling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. And I'm going to shock everybody. I'm going to shock everybody here. I'm going to take the Raiders in the upset. I know it's not going to be popular. The AFC West is going to be dangerous. There's a lot of weapons over there. I think Geno Smith is not a great quarterback, but a good quarterback. You have to pick some upsets on your schedule, and this is one that I'm going to take. I'm going to take the Raiders beating the Bears in week 4 ahead of the bye, and there's a reason for that. And we'll get to that right after this. I'll have the Bears going into the week 5 bye at 2-2.
Jason.
This is a tough game for me too. I'm going to give the Bears the edge here, only because I got to get to the 8-win mark somehow, and I don't see a whole lot of other wins on the schedule here. But I will tell you this: other than the Lions week 2, Minnesota's got a pretty decent with Jordan Mason now, but I think Lions week 2 is probably their biggest challenge for the defense to see how they can handle stuffing the run. This is the next biggest game on the schedule. How can we stop Ashton Genty? How can we stop Brock Bowers? How can we stop this offense? They're going to be hard-nosed. They're going to play very well. I mean, that's a Pete Carroll team. Players love him to death, and they fight and die to the end for that guy. But I think in the end, the Bears are basically just a more well-rounded team. I don't know what's going to happen here. It could go either way. It's probably a coin flip. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game at all. I think this is going to be like a 14-10 type of game with a lot of running, a lot of defensive stops. And we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, Geno Smith is the biggest problem there because even though he is an established quarterback, it is a new team, a new coordinator, new system. So I expect a lot of running going on in this game here.
Yeah, I'm with Jason. I think this is actually not only do I think the Bears are going to win, guys. I think the Bears are going to beat the Raiders pretty handedly. They're in the same situation as the Chicago Bears. They have a brand new coach implementing a brand new system with brand new players, and there's a lot of new pieces there, guys. A lot. And another thing that nobody ever talks about with the Raiders, whenever they talk about Ashton Genty and all these offensive weapons, is that Raiders offensive line is not good. And they didn't really do much to address it. I still don't think they're very good. And at the end of the day, the offensive line is probably the second most important thing in the NFL. So I think the Bears are going to go in there and beat this team. And like you said, Jason, if we're going to get the Bears to 8-9 wins, you got to get them somewhere. And the Las Vegas Raiders are a perfect candidate. I think this team still has a lot of growing to do. Their secondary was bad at times last year, and all they did was lose Hobbs to the Packers. I don't think they did much to address that position as well. Like you guys have talked about, I think Gianti is going to be good. I think Jack Beck's going to be good, but this is going to be – it's not like these guys are going to get to the NFL week 1 and all of a sudden be catching 250 yards and 2 touchdowns a game. They're going to slowly integrate them into the offense. I don't like Geno Smith. I think the Raiders are going to be patient with this team. I think they know this is a 2 or 3 year plan. They're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. They're not going to rush Jack Beck. They're not going to rush Gianti, although Gianti will get the ball a lot, but he will get it a lot more later in the season than he does early in the season. I just think the Bears are a better team with a better depth chart, and I think the coaching staffs are pretty equal. I got the Bears winning week 4 against the Raiders, so I have them starting 3-1 going into the week 5 bye. Sean, who do we got in week 6? Well, you know what, Sean? Let's talk about the week 5 bye.
Hate it.
Yeah, Jason.
You know what? There's 2 ways to look at it. The traditional thought is you kind of want your buy-in more in the middle of the week, right? Because you don't want it too late in the year because then your guys are getting worn down. You don't want it too early in the year because then you got the rest of the year to worry about. So that's why the week 5 does kind of suck. But at the same time, after that first 4 games there, the Bears might be ready for like maybe a little bit of a recoach and a recalibration here to get back in the line saying, hey guys, we're 3-1. We're doing pretty well here, but here's where we've messed up and here's where we need to improve because the schedule is going to get really hard. And coming right out of the bye, we got Washington. So it ain't going to be easy. So there's 2 ways to look at it. Could be good, could be bad. I hope it's a good thing. I mean, I hope we don't need it because of injuries. I'm hoping we need it maybe just to get that extra week of practicing.
Now, Sean, before we move on to your opinion of this week 5 bye, let's give a shout out to Oliver Chapman. He said he just subscribed, new listener here. Thank you so much, Oliver. We appreciate you joining us, man. We hope you enjoyed this.
Sure. Thanks, buddy.
Sean, can we get a round of applause for our couple new listeners here on 4-Star Chicago Sports?
Certified badass.
That's a long, certified badass, Oliver. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everybody out there, guys. We now have over 100 listening. We have Bears fan for life here, Melon Smasher, Oliver, everybody. Breaking news: Bruce, Illinois Jones, Ant Mass, Brandon, Dustin, everybody. Thyan Smythe. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. We're trying to get to as many of the comments as we possibly can here, guys. But this is a very busy show, obviously, due to the schedule release. Sean, what do you think about that week 5 bye?
I hate it. I think, especially with when you look at, at the Ravens, at the Bengals, Giants, at the Vikings, the Steelers, at the Eagles, I would have liked to buy right in there just to catch our breath.
Yes.
A little bit.
100%. Like more week 7 or so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, hey, let's just give them this gauntlet and have them get a day off in week 5.
Yeah, you guys, I've talked about this before on these podcasts. To me, the bye weeks should all come within a 3-week span. It should basically be week 8, 9, and 10, and every single team should have a bye in that span somewhere. You guys, this is a violent sport. It's a violent game. We know even if these guys aren't missing games due to like torn ACLs or anything, they're all banged up a little bit at some point this season. These guys are bruised and battered all season. Week 5 is just way too early for me, man. You need to buy in week 8, 9, 10 so you can kind of heal up a little bit, get these guys back to full strength. Obviously with some of these Thursday night games or Monday night games, they get a couple days off here and a couple more days off here and there. So they're almost like they consider them mini buys. Right. But man, for a team going into a year with a second-year quarterback, a brand new coach, and Jason, like you said, you could look at it both ways. Maybe that's good for the Bears. Maybe they start off the season 1-3, not the way they wanted to. This is a good chance for them to get together and kind of regroup and talk about changing the identity, changing who they are. But for me personally, guys, the week 5 bye is just too early. And it's never really worked out well for the Bears if you go back and look in history. The week 5 bye has never really helped them in any way, shape, or form. Right,
it
Sean?
is better than like a week 13 or 14 bye, but that's about
yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. Don't you just wish they were all at 8, 9, 10? Because those 14 buys aren't really fair to me, and these 5 buys aren't really fair to me. I think
they're going to go to a 2 bye thing. I mean, at least there's talks about it when eventually we go to 20 games. I think we can probably support 2 buys now, and I'm surprised the NFL doesn't want to do it. All it's going to do is lengthen the season. You don't need to have like 18 games, 16 games every Saturday and Sunday. You can mix it up because it looks like that's what they want to basically. It seems to me they want an NFL game every day of the week, which is fine by me. But, why not just split it up? If you can help injuries, meaning keeping these all-star players on the field, it's just going to help the product and the fan base overall. So I'm a big guy for just doing 2 bye weeks. I'll take a 5 and a 14-week bye.
Yeah, and I just think it gives some teams an unfair advantage. I mean, that's a competitive advantage. I mean, why these teams who are banged up, battered, and bruised in week 9, they get to take this bye. It's kind of like a mid-season break for them is what it is. And the Bears get this early season break after they've only played 4 games, and they're probably in pretty good shape already. I just don't think that week 5 bye benefits you in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, I'd like to see the NFL get to a point where everybody's got a bye right around the same week, so there's no unfair advantage for anybody. Sean, who do we got week 6, man?
I'm giving the Bears a win in a revenge match as we head to the nation's capital and take on Jaden Daniels and the Washington Redskins. Or
Sean, I like the tone of your voice there. You're really getting into this one.
Yeah, did you hit puberty? What happened? Just over the 5 minute span there?
We're going 3-2.
Yeah, and you guys, just so you know, the chat here agrees with most of the chat here agrees with us. The week 5 bye is just too early for Phil, Emil, pretty much everybody. Melon Smasher said the same thing. Sean, why do you think the Bears are going to beat Washington? That's a curious pick for me, especially since you picked them to lose to the Raiders.
Yeah, that's kind of why, because I don't see the Chicago Bears running off only losing to the Lions. They're going to have a trip up somewhere in here. This isn't going to be a 15-2 team. They're going to have to lose some games. I'm going to have them upsetting some teams I'm sure you guys are going to have them losing to. on the schedule. But number one, it's the NFL, and upsets happen all the time. We're gamblers. We gamble on the NFL religiously. We see it every week. It's the only reason I took the Vegas Raiders to beat the Bears. But Washington and the Bears, Washington, although they did well and got some pieces, they lost some big pieces. That defensive front isn't the same. Their running back room is questionable to me. I do love Korsky Merritt, the rookie that they have there, but I'm not a big fan of B-Rob. I'm not a big fan of, Eckler. I was for a long time. He's old. That wide receiver room didn't get much better. They got Terry McLaurin. We have Jalen Johnson. I think this defensive line will be able to control, and I think that Caleb Williams is going to come up and ready for this game. This is his counterpart, the number 2 pick in his draft. He's probably holding that on his shoulder. Hey, I lost to this guy last year, even though it wasn't my fault. I put my team in position. I'm going to lead my team to make sure we win this game. I trust my boy Caleb Williams to lead the Bears to victory in this week 6 matchup. I'm taking the Bears in the nation's capital.
Listen, I'm hoping you're correct. It would be great. Kyle and I have said a couple of times that we expect a little bit of regression out of Jaden Daniels. That's not to say that Jaden Daniels is all of a sudden going to suck, because he's a good quarterback, clearly. But he hasn't had to face the adversity. Last year they were tied for like the middle of the road schedule. Obviously they had Philadelphia in their division and just dog walked them in the NFC Championship game. But their schedule is much harder this year. And I think that dealing with losses after that really losing a game is one thing, but losing a game to 8 or 7 or 8 rushing touchdowns, it's brutal. Your defense basically couldn't do anything. And your offense really couldn't do anything either, because they didn't score a whole lot of points either. So I think that was a big hurdle for them. And if they start off a little rough, I haven't really paid attention to who they start the season off with, but man, this could be a rough, long year for Washington too. Not to say they're going to be bad guys. I just don't think I don't think they make the NFC Championship game this year. They're going to probably be a playoff team, but don't expect them, to be as, the lovable and as darling as they were with everybody in the sports world as they were last year. So I'm hoping for a Bears win, and screw it, I'll take a Bears win here.
Yeah, you guys, everybody in the chat.
Should have won the last game last year. But
yeah, everybody in the chat, please bear with me. But I'm going to take a win over Washington as well. And I know people are like, oh, man, Kyle's drinking the Kool-Aid. He's got the Bears at 4-1. Believe me, the losses are coming, I promise. So on the schedule. I think this season's going to be a lot like last year. I think the Bears are going to start off strong, and then they're getting that heart of that schedule there, and it's going to beat them up a little bit. The reason I have the Bears beating Washington is, first and foremost, guys, this is a revenge game. Caleb Williams wants to beat Jaden Daniels more than anything on the entire planet. That's the game he probably has circled on his schedule. This is the game that means the most to him, considering he's a guy who spent a lot of time in Washington. Not only that, but I agree with you, Jason, that there was not much injuries for Washington last year. They didn't have to face much adversity. And on top of all that, guys, the NFL has now had an entire offseason to study Jaden Daniels, to see.
Hey, real quick, not to cut you off, Najee Harris just signed with the Chargers.
Oh, he signed a long time ago with the Chargers.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, did he? Oh, I just thought he signed it. No, never mind.
Yeah, but the NFL's having a whole offseason to kind of adjust to Jaden Daniels. Sean, what was the stat you had about Jaden Daniels throwing from one side of the field last year? I think that those are the things they're going to start to get noticed.
He was predominantly throwing to the right side of the field last year. Yeah. I don't have the stat in front of me, but yeah,
I'll pull it up. Keep talking. I'll pull it up.
I kind of felt though, Kyle, like they were catching up to that in the second half of the year, and they still couldn't stop it.
It wasn't, Sean, by no means necessary am I saying Washington's going to be a bad team. I just think this is a good matchup for the Bears. And on top of that, guys, this is a team that allowed 7 rushing touchdowns in the NFC Championship game. And how did they adjust? They let their best defensive linemen walk in free agency and go to the Minnesota Vikings and Jonathan Allen. I think that Washington Commanders are going to have a very, very tough time stopping the run. And I think the Chicago Bears, with what they just did in the interior of that offensive line, are going to ground and pound early and often. I think they're going to run the ball up the middle. You got guys like Roschon Johnson, Kyle Monangai, who can certainly beat up a defensive line, DeAndre Swift, who can take advantage of open space. I just think this is a good matchup for the Bears. I think this is the one that Caleb Williams wants the most on this entire schedule, outside of maybe the Packers. And I think the Bears are going to go into Washington and beat them. And on top of that, all that, guys, that's something that nobody's mentioned on this podcast. The Bears are coming off of a bye, and that is when you should be at your best. You should be at your best coming off of a bye. You're healthy. You've had some time to recuperate. You've had some time to build you get 2 weeks to build a game plan solely for the Washington Commanders. We know that the coaching staff in the past here haven't done that because they were idiots, but Ben Johnson's a different guy. He's going to spend those 2 weeks figuring out how to stop Jaden Daniels this offense, and I think the Bears are going to do it. Sean, week 7.
Week 7, I think we can I think week 7, we're all going to agree here. I got the Bears going 4-2 because the New Orleans Saints come a-calling, and that team is going to just be junk. I'm taking the Bears to steamroll the Saints in week 7 and get the 4th win. And now I got the Bears at 4-2. Are you guys liking my record a little bit better now? We're 2 games over 500, 6 weeks in.
Don't worry, guys. The losses are coming. I promise.
Sorry
we're not drinking the Kool-Aid. But Sean, anything else you want to add to that? Why do you think the Bears are going to beat New Orleans?
It's just the Saints are an awful team, dude. We talked about this when we did the power rankings. They lack star power. They have no quarterback. Their defense is awful. Their offense is awful. There's nothing good about this team. Who's the new coach there? Kellen Moore?
Yeah.
I feel awful for Kellen Moore. It's going to be Spencer Rattler and who was the quarterback they drafted? Tyler, help me with his last name. Shook. Yeah. And Jake Hayner. Yeah, good luck with all that. I feel bad for Chris Olave. Terrible for Alvin Kamara. I feel terrible for Rashid Shaheed. I feel terrible for every offensive skill player on the New Orleans Saints. I think it's going to be an abysmal club that's going to struggle to get to 2 football wins this year. The Bears in a steamroll over the New Orleans Saints in week 7.
Real quick, I'll answer that Jaden Daniels passing. He actually was better on the left side of the field than he was on the right. And he was actually pretty bad in the center of the field, which honestly, that's the bread and butter of every championship.
Yeah, at some point, that's going to bite you in the butt because that's how Tom Brady made a living, was the Julian Edelmans and Rob Gronkowski's of the world. At some point, that is going to bite him in the butt. Jason, what do you think about this New Orleans game? I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find somebody who says the Bears are going to lose to the New Orleans Saints.
I guess it's possible. Anything's possible. The ball's not round. I mean, injuries, who knows? But they're clearly starting a rebuild right now. Their quarterback just retired.
Jason, before you finish, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Come trade deadline time, and I agree with you. I think the Saints at some point are just going to turn this into a full rebuild. Yeah. Come trade deadline time. Do you think that Chris Olave will probably be the most attractive trade piece in the NFL?
He's really good. He should have had a good year last year if it wasn't for the injury. I mean, I love Chris Olave. I wanted the Bears to draft him when we had Justin Fields, because they played together at Ohio State. I thought that would be a great little matchup for them. But now he's paired up with Garrett Wilson and is going to probably throw for 35 touchdowns. But
hey, Jay, really quick, I just want to say and I hate to address trolls, but Melon Smasher, you can say all you want about the touchdowns and the 300 yards that Jaden Daniels had. Jaden Daniels looked like a fool and scored 21 points in that NFC Championship game after they were down by 5 touchdowns. So
garbage time.
I wouldn't be all on my high horse that he had such an NFC great title game because he was getting his ass handed to him until the Eagles threw in the towel.
Well, it's not just Jaden Daniels. The guys, they allowed 7 rushing touchdowns. That is the NFC Championship game record. 7 rushing touchdowns. That's not acceptable in the NFL. If you can't stop the run in the NFL, guys, you're not going to win football games. It's purely that simple. Sorry, Jason, didn't mean to cut you off.
Listen, everything you guys said is great. And, anytime you want to beat a patrol, I'm in. But yeah, look, you can't allow 7 rushing touchdowns and say you had a good game. I don't care if it was the quarterback's fault or not. If the Bears did that or the Packers did that, I think that's who you're a fan of, you'd be throwing yourself out the window. I mean, it's Green Bay, so they're all little ranches and farms. So, a barn maybe might have some height for you to hurt yourself. But other than that, I like Jaden Daniels. He's good. He obviously clearly had a better season than Caleb Williams. We're not saying that he isn't. We're not saying that the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl. We're just saying this is what we see the schedule, falling out as. I will tell you this. To get back to the Saints, to circle back, look, the Saints are just they're a hot mess right now, and they're probably going to finish last in the NFL this year. That's probably my guess. They're probably going to be in that Archie Manning sweepstakes. And, hey, I hope they get it. That's a good team for him to land in, because that family's from that area. I think it would be good for the Mannings and good for the Saints. But this year, they're just not going to be good. 1 or 2 wins this season is all I see them getting.
No, guys, let me just change this. If Aaron Rodgers does show up and takes the New Orleans job, does that change your opinion?
Obviously.
5 to 7 wins, maybe?
You probably double or triple their win fact, but that still doesn't get them into the playoffs,
Yeah, as it stands right now, I know people are like, man, Kyle's crazy. He's now got the Bears at 5-1, but yeah, they're going to beat the Saints, guys. The Saints, I honestly, in my heart believes.
Hey, we were 4-1 last year.
I think the Saints are going to get first picks at Arch Manning next year. I think they are going to have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. No disrespect to Kellen Moore, because I think ultimately he will be a decent coach there. The problem is, like Sean said, it's just a lack of star power, no quarterback. I mean, we all know that the quarterback in the NFL is the most important position in American sports right now. You have to have a quarterback to be competitive in the NFL. They don't have anybody even that could even carry them to a 4, 5, 6 win season. I don't think that guy is there. I think the Saints are going to be the worst team in the NFL. They are also going through an adjustment period with a brand new head coach. So this whole team has to learn a brand new scheme, brand new offense, brand new defense with one of the worst rosters in the NFL. I agree with you guys. I feel bad for Olave. I feel bad for Kamara, but I honestly do believe that this is going to be the worst team in the NFL. And the Chicago Bears should have absolutely no problems beating this team at all, especially at home. I think this is kind of like the gimme game of the season for the Bears. If anything, this is their second bye week.
Hey, Kyle,
this is their second bye.
Your defensive coordinator.
Hey, Jay, it's on ESPN right now. It is 110% official. The Chicago Bears are opening at home versus the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night. They led the show off with it. How about that? They led the show off with the Chicago freaking Bears. ESPN finally did something right after 50 years.
Yeah, dude, I forgot what I was basically just going to say, but
Sean, let's move on to week 8. Let's keep this thing rolling, guys.
The week 1 schedule is officially out, my friends. And we were pretty much right on everything we said. The Lions are at Green Bay. The Bears are hosting Minnesota, Tennessee. Everything that we saw for week 1 is official. Kansas City and in Brazil, Thursday night. Yeah, it looks good. Giants, Washington. We're all giddy up, dude. Let's go. Week 1's in the books, baby. Woo!
All right, Sean, let's get to week 8.
Week number 8, I got the Bears taking an L, dude. They're gonna go into Baltimore. They're gonna have a tough time with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. This is a game I'd really like to win, but John Harbaugh, experienced team, one of the better upper echelon teams in the NFL. A lot of star power. Stopping Derrick Henry's a problem. I also think their wide receivers and Zay Flower, Rashad Bateman came on late last year. They still have Mark Andrews, and you can't a couple-time MVP quarterback, and always a ferocious defense going into Maryland to try and win this football game. I think is going to be tough. So I will take the Bears to take one on the nose, and that drops my record to 4-3 for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, it's Baltimore. They're just outmatched here in pretty much every position. Maybe a couple of positions here or there, we got a better player, but overall as a team on all 3 levels, they just dominate the Bears in this game. I'd love to see a close game here. That would really make me happy. But I don't know how anybody can stop Derrick Henry. The guy averages a touchdown a game. You've got a 2-time MVP as a quarterback. I don't know how they don't win more playoff games, but that's their big issue. We won't see them in the playoffs.
I do.
But they're just a better team than the Bears. Let's be realistic. They're not going to win this game. If they do, it's amazing, but it's the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. This is definitely going to be a loss. Like Jason said, this team is just not only they probably have much better starters on their team, but they're much deeper than the Chicago Bears as well. And you talk about the best safety tandem in the NFL, man. Can you guys imagine Starks and Hamilton together on the field at the same time? It's going to be playing the Ravens is going to be scary this year. And you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, you guys, if the Ravens are going to win a Super Bowl, now is the time to do it, guy. I mean, you guys, you're running. The championship window is closing for this team.
Yeah, I
Some of these
agree
players are
100%.
starting to get old. Especially Derrick Henry, this guy's going to be 32 years old. If the Ravens want to do it, this is the year for the Ravens to do it. And I think this team is going to be dominant. I think they're going to be have one of the best regular season records of any team in the NFL. I can see them finishing with 14 or 15 wins. And I certainly, as much as I like the Chicago Bears and the way they're going, this is a team that has a lot of continuity. They've been playing together for a long time. That Derrick Henry's going in the second year there. They're going to get more creative with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the backfield. This is definitely going to be one of the toughest games on the Bears' schedule this season, and they are going to go to Baltimore and lose, unfortunately. They also have Roquan Smith there as well. But
you know Roquan's the second highest paid player on their team right now?
They got a lot of money.
Ladies and gentlemen, the schedule that we have been flashing on the screen is now official. The 2025 Chicago Bears home and away schedule is the Vikings 1, Lions 2, Cowboys 3, Raiders 4, bye week, Washington, followed by the Saints, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Giants, the Minnesota Vikings, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we have the defending Super Bowl champions, followed by that team from up north, followed by the Browns, followed by that team from up north, followed by the Niners, and then Motown comes to Chicago. So the leaks were correct. The schedule looks great, and we haven't been breaking down anything false.
All right, Sean, let's get into Week 9 at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Guys, Week 9 is a game I have circled on this, and I started looking at tickets to try and get to this game. I looked at them today. I'm not out of the realm of possibility here in the next couple of days of buying this particular game and heading out to Cincinnati, to the Queen City, and checking out the Bears and the Bengals. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a coming out party. The Bengals defense is awful. It did not get any better in the offseason. They lose Trey Hendrickson. This is a bottomless pit where they're going to have to score 40 or 50 points a week. And we saw last year, even when they do that, they couldn't win ball games. So, guys, I'm taking the Bears to go to the Queen City, win this football game, and get their 6th win of the season. And what I'm going to say is a 48-45 Chicago Bears victory. Yes, I know I'm discounting the Chicago Bears defense a little bit, but when you got Chase Brown, you got Mike Gesicki, you got T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, you got Joe freaking Burrow, Joey B. I mean, my Lord, they got a plethora of weapons. Going to be very tough for the Bears, and I feel the same way about the Bears when you start loading up their weapons and start talking about them. I think we're going to be halfway through the schedule. We'll be locked and loaded. Bears win in a big-time shootout, 48-45. The Bears.
Yeah, Sean, I'm going to have to disagree.
I'd love to say that they win this game here, but I think the defense has got the most holes for the Bears right now. We don't really have a starting Sam linebacker. The edge rushers are probably average at best, in my opinion. I mean, unless Montez comes back around to his ability, but he was never really elite. The interior hopefully helps that out. But if I'm being honest with you, I think if you can't get enough pressure on a quarterback like Joe Burrow, he's going to rip you apart. So I'm going to take the Bengals here.
Yeah, I think this is the year where Joe Burrow really comes out and shows the NFL who he is. And I know he's already played in his Super Bowl, so it's not like he's been terrible at any point in his career. But, like Sean said, I think it's actually the opposite of the point that Sean made. I mean, how many times did this team score 40 points last year and lose? That's not going to happen very often. Now, I understand their defense isn't the best in the NFL, but now they have more continuity. They're going to play a little better than they did. I believe they'll play better than they did last year. I don't think they're going to be like the worst defense in the league. They now have, I think you guys already know, I've picked Joe Burrow to finish the season as the NFL MVP. I think the Bengals are going to be really, really tough to beat at home. They have a really, really good home crowd as well. I think the Chicago Bears are going to go in Cincinnati. I think the Bengals are probably going to drop somewhere around 35, 40 points with, like you said, Sean, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, Joe Burrow. This offense is absolutely frightening. I think the Bengals are going to make the playoffs, and I think they could make a deep run in the playoffs and maybe have a chance at a Super Bowl, like Balance Smasher says there. Right now, the Bengals have the 5th best odds in the NFL to win the Super Bowl. I think the Bears lose this game for sure.
I'm going to say that the Bengals having the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl might be the dumbest thing on odds I've seen in a long time. Number one, if they don't, their defense was a bottomless pit last year. And now you're going to lose Trey Hendrickson. How the hell are you going to stop teams? You're not going to be able to. You're going to have to score 40, 50 points a week in order to win football games.
Better at the end of the season. Nobody wanted the Bengals to make the playoffs. Nobody. Absolutely nobody wanted the Cincinnati Bengals to make the playoffs.
Were they winning because they were stopping teams, or were they winning because they were putting up?
Their defense got better. They're not good, Sean. That's not the point I'm making. All I'm saying
bottom line is everybody wins by scoring more points than the other team,
Sean,
no matter what you want to look at it.
Sean, like you said, you started off with the Bengals. You said how many times did they score 40 points last year and lose? That's not going to happen again. It's not you play the odds. Not very often in the NFL, the team score 40 points and lose. At some point, this defense is going to start to get a little bit better. Like I said, they don't have to be the best defense in the NFL. They just got to be somewhere around 18, 19, 20, and this team will win a lot of games. I think Joe Burrow is going to throw for 45 touchdowns and close to 5,000 yards this season. He asked for his toys. He got them. This is going to be a scary, dangerous
I'm not
offense.
discounting their offense. I said 48-45 Chicago Bears.
I also
I'm
think
not discounting the offense. I'm just counting that god-awful defense that they have. But I agree with Dustin here a little bit, and this could come back to bite me in the butt. After playing a tough game in Baltimore, they have to go to
physically one of the most
that could absolutely play a factor and change my mind. But if the Bears do come out of Baltimore angry after a loss, going into Cincinnati with a lackluster defense, Hey, that's why it's way too early. We'll see what happens, right, boys?
You guys, real quick, thank you so much. There's 150 people watching the show.
Let's
tonight.
go.
We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Please share this with your friends if you guys enjoy it. Continue to leave these comments, guys. We're going to try to get to as many of them as we possibly can. We love the fact you guys leave so many comments. Makes the show much, much easier. A lot more to talk about. Breaking News, Bruce, as always, man, thank you so much for all the hard work you do for 4-Star Chicago Sports. Brandon and Dustin have joined us, 2 of the original 4 stars on the show here in the chat, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. The Bears schedule is official. We nailed it before the show started. The schedule that we put out, the tentative schedule, is the actual schedule, guys. It is the second toughest strength of schedule in the NFL this season. Sean, who do we got in Week 10?
We got the New York Football Giants coming to Chicago. That tough defensive front. Ugh.
Sean, if you pick them to beat the Bengals and lose to the Giants, I'm driving to your house, bro.
You know what? If the game was in New York, I'd probably take the Giants, but it's in Chicago, so I am going to take the Bears. That defensive front to me is really, 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 really scary. It's going to be enough to rough up any defense, even with a good offensive line. They have so many different ways they can come at you. And like Jay said earlier, especially if Abdul Carter works out to what he is, the guy that should scare people a lot in this defense is Darius Alexander, sitting on that offensive line next to all pro players, where he's going to be able to use that freakish athleticism and attack the quarterback and just do a bunch of different things. If this defensive coordinator, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, can figure out how to make this defense click, man, this Giants front's going to be difficult. I think the Bears can come in and win this game low scoring. They're going to have to, win some grinders through the NFL season. I don't know how you're going to be able to run on this defensive front. So short passes, dink and dunk style offense. I'm not sure until I see the Giants defensive front get out there and what they're weak at. So I'll take the Bears in a low scoring game here. Maybe, 17-10, 17-13, something like that.
Real quick, Jason, before we move on to you, I just want to get real quick a couple of these comments. Thank you. You guys, such a heartfelt appreciative. Thank you. Jebediah says, congrats, boys. This is the most I've seen on y'all's live. Good to see it's growing from the early days. Yeah, do in part to all you guys, Jebediah. Yeah, for sure, man. And then Bears Fans for Life says, you guys make the podcast so easy to participate in and have awesome content and even better debates. Bear down. You guys, we appreciate you so much. Honestly, if it wasn't for you guys, we would not be doing this. We've had these discussions. You guys make this so much easier for us. There's so much more to talk about when you guys are active in the chat. leaving comments. We like to hear everybody's opinion. Obviously, none of us think we're right. Sports is all opinions unless you're talking about statistics. Please continue to leave us. You guys, if you want to give us your overall record predictions, we would love to see that as well. Sorry to cut you off, Jason. Week 10, Bears versus the Giants at Soldier Field on the lakefront. What do you got?
Yeah, this is one I think we can easily win. You know, the Giants aren't obviously the best team in the universe. They've got a really good wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. You know, their defense, like Sean and you said, is going to be much improved here. You would hope so with their draft picks. But in all honesty, this is probably the week, and when I'm going to pray for the week that they decide to basically drop Russell Wilson and go with the young kid they drafted. So, I mean, week 9, it's probably right about the time it might happen, right? So I would have to say the Bears win this one. I think they win handily. I think this might be one of the better get-straight games after that brutal 3-game losing streak they're probably going to have. So I'm hoping for a big victory here with the Bears at home against the Giants. It'll be a cold one. We're probably in November by that point already. So I think that's probably a good win for the Bears there. Handle.
Yeah, and I love this comment by Flex Dix, you guys. He said the Giants improved this offseason, except when you have 4 QBs, you don't have a QB. yeah. Listen, you guys, Russell Wilson, I admirable. I have a ton of respect for the guy. The guy was, when he was at his best, was a borderline Hall of Fame player, but he's just not the same guy anymore. Yeah. This is a guy who keeps on getting kicked out of every city he goes to. Russell Wilson is at the end of his career. He should be a perennial backup from this point on. He should not be starting for any team in the NFL. The Giants just aren't that good of a football team. I like Malik Neighbors. Wan'Dale Robinson's all right. Darius Slayton's all right. I like the running back tandem with Tracy and Scatabo, but at the end of the day, guys, this team is a year behind the Chicago Bears. They are probably they're in like year 2 or 3 of a rebuild, where the Bears are going into year 4 of a rebuild. I just don't think the Giants have what it takes on offense to compete with a team like the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears are going to score a lot more points than people are giving them credit for. I do like the Giants defense. I don't love their secondary. That defensive line is absolutely atrocious, brutal, but I think the Bears will be able to throw all over this team. I think there's a good chance Caleb Williams could throw for 3-4 touchdowns in this game. And yes, the Bears are going to beat the New York Football Giants at home. So far, guys, right now, let's go around the horn here. I have the Bears at, let's see, I have them at 6-3. Jason, where do you got them right now so far through?
I think 10? I'm right where you're at, dude. I don't think we've had any variance.
Yeah. So Sean, you got them
I
at
have them
what?
at 6-3. We just have different losses.
Yeah. So we all got them at 6-3. Sean, who we playing in week 11?
Well, unfortunately, I have the Bears losing this week, and it kind of depresses me. When
I think we all have the Bears basically getting swept by the AFC North, except for the Browns.
We got the Queens from Minnesota.
Oh yeah, at the Vikings. Ooh,
yeah, we're traveling to the Twin Cities, and last year in the Twin Cities, the Bears, the season was kind of wrapped in a bow. The Bears got absolutely humiliated. They lost 30-12. It wasn't really a game.
Probably Caleb Williams' worst game, right?
He was 18
either that or Seattle. It was one of the two.
Yeah, and a couple of fumbles. The one good thing for the Bears were they were able to run a little bit more in this game than they were in the first game in Chicago. Swift had 80 rushing yards. I don't know. Minnesota's very tough in Minnesota. I'm going to figure they're going to have their quarterback figured out by that point. If they don't, this is way too early. I'll pick a sweep later on. But as it is on its surface right now, I'll give those jerk-offs from the Twin Cities a little bit of props, and I'll give them a victory over the Bears in Week 11.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really not a fun place to go play an away game at. It's very loud. The fans are hostile. They stupid ass skull chant for some reason they think is awesome, but we just don't do well there. I
hate it. It makes me irk.
This is probably McCarthy's starting to get better game. I don't know if he's going to be throwing the ball all around, but this could be one of those games where it's all Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. And it's just loud. The Bears can't get their running game going. They can't get their passing game going. Defense might have problems with jumping to counts. So this could be one that the Bears don't lose badly. But, last year we lost badly in Minnesota. But I think the Bears lose here too. It's just might be a little too insurmountable over there in Minnesota.
Hey, really quick, Kyle, I know you're watching the Cubs game. Do you have the Cubs game on?
Mhm.
Go look at your TV because it's probably going to come up on yours. Yesterday, someone at 10:02 in the morning tweeted out that Justin Turner would come into the game and win the game for the Cubs, dude. That's insane, dude.
That's a ballsy tweet. Yeah, you guys both took the words out of my mouth, man. I'm not. It's not necessarily that I think the Vikings are head and shoulders better than the Bears, but man, is it tough to play in Minnesota? That is one of the loudest stadiums in the United States of America. Yeah. Certainly one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. I think the Vikings are that's a tall task to go into that stadium and beat them. And you guys, like I said, just last week on this show, we all did our NFC power rankings. We all had the Vikings listed above the Bears. It would be kind of silly for us to pick the Bears to sweep them. You know, you're going into Minnesota, in which even though I don't think McCarthy is going to be a really good player in the NFL at any point in his career, he's definitely going to be better in week 11 than he is in week 1. At least I would hope better than his first game ever in the NFL. You're talking about one of the best rosters in all of football. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson. This team is just a really, really good roster with one of the best coaches in the NFL. And you guys, as far as I'm concerned, and over the last 3 seasons, I believe that Kevin O'Connell has been the best coach in the NFL. Though I know he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but it's not like he's had a ton of help at the quarterback position with Sam Darnold and now J.J. McCarthy. But, man, you just talk about a tough environment to play in against a really, really good depth chart and a really good roster.
Defensive line got better, too.
Yeah, they're and then you got Brian Flores, who's one of the most aggressive defensive coordinators in all the NFL. They're going to attack Caleb Williams in Minnesota constantly. Jason, I agree with you. There's probably going to be a lot of pre-snap penalties, which is no fault to Ben Johnson of the Chicago Bears. It's just such a tough environment to play in. I do have the Bears losing week 11 at the Minnesota Vikings. Sean, week 12.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
And that's in Pittsburgh?
That's in Chicago.
In Chicago.
I'm going to take the Bears to win this football game, and not because I think these teams are two very equally talented teams. The one thing the Steelers don't have that the Bears do is a quarterback. If the Steelers had a quarterback, I might be questioning the Bears' ability to beat this team. But because they don't have a quarterback, and again, this can change in between now if Aaron Rodgers ends up in the Steel City, that could change everything for me. But right now, no Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to tell you, I don't give a shit if Aaron Rodgers does go there. I'm not letting this asshole come to Chicago and beat us. So I'm taking the Bears over the Steelers. Either way, even if Aaron Rodgers does show up. And to Dustin's point, they just lost a receiver too. I mean, they have no quarterback. They lost their number 1 receiver. I guess they still do have DK Metcalf. He can be a number 1. No one outside of him. If you believe in Calvin Austin Jr., the Roman Wilson, the former Michigan Wolverine, coming in and being a stud this year. Maybe the Steelers do, and that's why they traded Pickens outside of the fact that he's a team cancer. But they're, Caleb Johnson, obviously a good pick. Jalen Warren is a dog. I don't know. You got to have a quarterback, man.
Yeah, it's all about the quarterback here. I think they have a much better shot of beating the Bears here if they do have Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is past his prime, though, if I'm being 100% honest. He's just not what he used to be. Even fully healthy at the Jets, he was not that great. He didn't set the world on fire. You didn't have him on your fantasy team. He's just not good anymore. That's not a knock on him. He's had a Hall of Fame career, and he will be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I think the Bears win, but it's the Steelers. So this is not going to be a blowout by either side. Yeah. The Steelers never get blown out. They do sometimes blow teams out because they have good defense. I mean, you got TJ Watt. Let's not discount that guy at all. That guy's a monster. I think the Bears squeak one by here, probably another 14-10 type of win. It's one of my 3 remaining wins that I have here for the Bears. So, I think they squeak by with a win here at home. If it was in Pittsburgh, I might feel slightly differently about it. But since it's at home, I'm going to give the edge to the Bears.
Yeah, so here's the first game that Jason and I will disagree. I think the Bears are going to lose this game. And you know what sucks, you guys? I think it's because the Steelers are going to sign Aaron Rodgers, and I think that just fits the narrative perfectly, doesn't it? When it comes to Aaron Rodgers and the Chicago Bears, every time we feel like we've got him on the ropes, every time we feel like we've got his back against the wall, he comes out and beats us. And that's just what he's done in the Chicago Bears his entire career. This will probably be, if he does sign –
It wouldn't surprise me, Kyle, if that happened.
Yeah, if he does sign with the Steelers, this will probably be the last time the Chicago Bears ever have to see Aaron Rodgers. But I do think that if they have a quarterback right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are just a better team than the Chicago Bears. If you look at them, not necessarily because of the depth chart guys, but because Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. There's a lot more continuity there. Now you got a guy who can rush the quarterback on the other side of TJ Watt. You can take that pressure off of TJ Watt. If he can stay healthy, I think he could end up being the defensive MVP of the NFL this season. The Steelers are just one of the most consistently competitive, good, well-coached football teams in the NFL, and I think this is one of those games where the Bears are going to lose at home to the Steelers, and a heartbreaker, like you guys said. I think this game could end up being 21-20, and it sucks because I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers win against the Bears ever again, but that would just be the perfect narrative to end the career of Aaron Rodgers against the Chicago Bears.
And really quick, they had the first 9 games for the Eagles up, man. The Eagles are going to be tested early and often. The Cowboys at the Chiefs, Rams at the Bucks. Broncos.
Sean, they were in the top 10 for toughest schedule in the NFL.
Oh, dude, that first 9 weeks for them is brutal, man. That is a brutal first 9 weeks. They do get the Giants out of the way twice in the first 8 weeks, but at the Vikings versus the Broncos, at the Bucks, the Rams, at the Chiefs. I mean, that's a gauntlet all in itself, man.
And you know what? Last year, the Steelers put 44 points up against the Bengals on December 1st.
Dustin, I agree. That's the difference for me. If it comes down to like a last drive of the game or a last second game, I just think Tomlin, just how good he is and how great of a coach he's been, I think I just give him the edge over Ben Johnson his rookie season as a head coach. That's not to say that Ben Johnson won't get better at some point in his career and be that Mike Tomlin type of coach where you just expect him to win those close games. But right now, I don't know what to expect from Ben Johnson. I expect Tomlin to win those close games. That's who the Steelers have been for the last 10, 15 years. That is their identity. If you leave the door open just a little bit, they'll kick their way in. Sean, let's get to week 13.
Week 13, we get the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Black Friday, boys. So I hope you got your turkey stuffed down your throat really well because we might be throwing it up on Friday. I don't have to go into why I think the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm going to take the Eagles to win this game because they're just a better football team than the Chicago Bears at home on Black Friday. Give me the Super Bowl champion. I mean, I guess you can always have injuries that change the perspective of things, but for me, I'm gonna leave this Black Friday game alone and just bow my head. Sixth loss of the season for me for the Bears against the Eagles.
I've got the Bears winning 75-10. No, I don't. It's Philadelphia. They're going to crush us, dude. We're going to lose. They're just a better team.
Crush us.
They're a better team than we are. I mean, honestly, I think they're going to run the ball all over us. If Saquon Barkley is healthy in this game, it's not going to be pretty for the Bears. If he's not healthy, if he's out for, let's say, a 1 or 2 or 3 game streak that running backs usually have, we have a very good chance of competing in this game. But other than that, you can't stop the tush push. You can't stop Saquon. He jumps over dudes backwards. Their defense got better somehow, even though they lost everybody on their defense. They're going to win. They're going to win the game. I don't know what to tell you. It's probably not going to be.
Not to like call Dustin out here, but just to make things clear. So for every website I've looked at, Dustin, the Bears actually have the second hardest strength of schedule in the NFL.
It is the
Giants.
second hardest strength of schedule.
If you look at the win percentage from last year, it goes Giants, and then the Bears and Lions are actually tied for second. And the Eagles are right there, right behind them in fourth. So
the Bears are actually, Kyle, I agree. The Bears are actually tied with the Detroit Lions for the second.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, the Lions.
Yeah, hey,
it's a gauntlet.
Let's just say this. Let's really hope the Cowboys are better than we all think, because I'm looking at their schedule and we have to watch them on 8 primetime games this year. So they better be.
Well, of course, Sean. It's because the NFL wants them to be America's team, even though they're not. That's what they want. Yeah, you guys, week 13 at the Eagles. You're going into the Super Bowl defending champion Eagles house. You got to go up there and try to beat the Eagles. I just don't see it happening. There's no way. This is the best roster in the NFL from top to bottom, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a couple teams that are pretty close competing with them, but you look at depth. This team is the best team in the NFL. We said that last year before the season, guys. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. I think Saquon Barkley, there's a chance he could even get better than he was last. I think he could break that NFL record for over 2,200 yards rushing.
If he's close, they're going to let him do it now because they already won the Super Bowl. They're going to say, "Go ahead, son, run all over it."
This to me, outside, maybe you put it right next to the Ravens there. This is the hardest game on the Chicago Bears schedule. And then you have to go to Philadelphia to play them. I just don't think they stand a chance in hell. Maybe if the Eagles came to Chicago, it would be a closer game. But not only do I think the Eagles are going to win, I think this is actually going to end up being the Bears' biggest loss of the season. Sean, they don't really need to talk too much about Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team that just won the Super Bowl, and they're probably going to be close to competing for a Super Bowl this year as well. Who do we got in Week 14?
Hey, real quick side note, Philadelphia actually beats the Bears a lot at home as well. I believe Donovan McNabb was undefeated in Chicago his entire life, including high school, college, and the NFL.
The good news, guys,
is just good. They've beaten us in the playoffs so many times. I hate Philadelphia, and I hate that they're good, but yeah, we're just going to lose.
The good news, guys, is if we do if the three of us plan on traveling to Philadelphia to see that Bears game, Jason will tackle somebody in the parking lot for absolutely no reason.
I'm running right to the car after I do it.
Loosely based off a true story, guys. Sean,
this is a true story. I was there.
Week 14.
So we were at the playoff game when Hugh Douglas smashed really quick. When Hugh Douglas smashed Jim Miller's shoulder with that
heartbreaking,
very Charles Martin type move that happened to Jim McMahon. We were all pissed off after the game and probably somewhat intoxicated. And there was this idiot Eagles fan that was flapping his wings, and he was dressed up in a full Eagles costume. So me and a couple of buddies dared Jason to spear him. He didn't only spear him; he speared him over one of those like high concrete parking blocks.
Barricades.
It was freaking awesome. Nonetheless, this is going to be the tough part of the schedule. Another tough part of the schedule that just doesn't seem to stop for the Bears. We only have one team in between our two meetings with the team from up north. So week 14, we get this bum, and this guy gets to check his certificate at the door. I am taking the Bears over the Packers in week 14. I'm going to keep Caleb undefeated up north in Lambeau. That's happening, my friends. Book it, mark it down. Green Bay, 2 words for you. Suck it. How'd that free agency do? Oh, we want this guy. Went to a different. Oh, we're going to get this guy. Went to a different team. Yeah, good job, Green Bay. Good job, guys. Bears going to kick their ass. I'll give you a preview. They're sweeping them this year. I'm taking it. I don't care.
What's up, Foster? Thanks for joining the show. Yeah, Sean has the Bears sweeping the Packers. Jason, what do you think?
As much as I would love the Bears to sweep the Packers, especially win away at Lambeau again, I think we split, and I'm literally just going to give it to the home team on both games. So I'm going to give this to the Packers. I think the crowd is going to be really, really rowdy. I think that team's going to be marking this game on their calendar. They probably already have. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, which is great. I think it's great football to watch. I will not be there because it's Green Bay. I don't even know where it is. Anyways, I'm going to give it to Green Bay.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. You guys, the Bears are not playing Malik Willis at home or in Green Bay this year unless for some reason Jordan Love gets hurt. I think the Chicago Bears are going to go up there and are going to ultimately lose this game. I do think this is going to be a very close game, though. This rivalry is back, guys. There's not going to be any time in which one of these teams just absolutely beats the shit out of the other. I think these games are going to be physical, going to be violent, going to be bloody. But I do think right now, I think the Bears, like we've talked about, guys, they're kind of like the Lions going in that 2023 season where they finished 9-8. I think that's where the Bears are at right now. They're just kind of in this transition with a new coach, new roster. They've had all these new players, all these new pieces. I think the Packers have more continuity. This team's been together. Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur they've gotten to know each other. They've been together for longer. He knows the system. He knows the way he wants it ran. I actually like Matt LaFleur a lot. I like that interview when he was talking about Ben Johnson and him saying he loves beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. I love the way he responded. But yeah, I think he's also a very good coach. I think the Bears are going to go to Green Bay, and unfortunately, I think they're going to lose this game.
I'll tell you the keys to the game. They got this guy. We got these guys. And that's our advantage.
I think our secondary is our advantage.
All right, but could you show Joe Burrow? They got that guy, dude.
Hey,
all right, Sean.
I said he's going to drop 45 points on the Bears. I didn't disrespect Joe Burrow at all. I just thought our quarterback's going to be slightly better.
All right, Sean. I think we're all
in between the meetings with that team up north, because I've already said their name too many gosh darn times in a short period of time. We got the Cleveland Browns.
Ugh.
I'm gonna say, as good as that defense might be, their splits last year, their defense was dominant at home and it wasn't so dominant on the road. They're coming into Chicago. Their quarterback situation's still up in flux. If it's Shador Sanders, if it's Dylan Gabriel, if it's who's the other quarterback they got there? Who cares? It doesn't even matter. I don't think they're coming to Chicago to win. So Bears win in this one. It's done.
Sean, you're right. You're 100% right. Their defense is actually good. It got better with Mason Graham, but I think the big problem here is that their offense just sucks. I don't know if they're going to be able to score any points. It's going to be a hard year to be a Browns fan this year. I think the Bears are a much well-rounded team. I think the Bears are at home. I think, after a really disappointing loss up north, the Bears are going to come down hungry. And I think they're gonna dominate this game pretty healthily. I think our offense by this time, our offensive line is clicking. I think we can handle. We're gonna get sacked a couple of times here, but I think we can handle and stave off that defense. And I think we come away with a good handy victory here. And by handy, I mean I think the Bears score 27 points, and maybe the Browns 10. Maybe 9, 3 field goals.
Yeah, you already heard me say that the Saints game was going to be the biggest win on the schedule for the Bears. This is the second biggest win on the schedule for the Bears. I don't think Joe Flacco will be playing in Week 15. I think they're going to try to see what Gabriel or Shador Sanders has. I think one of these guys is going to be on the field. Unfortunately, there's just not enough star power to help these guys. Their offense is atrocious. If you look at them on paper, you look at the depth chart, it's not good. They have offensive line woes. They have wide receiver woes. Obviously, they got those 2 running backs, but it's going to take those guys a while to get integrated in the NFL, and it's going to take the coaches a while to figure out which one of those guys they want to be the bell cow. Obviously, Dustin's going to say it's Judkins. Nobody knows. We'll see what happens there in Cleveland, but this is not going to be a good football team. They're going to be at the bottom of the NFL again. They might be in the running for first pick in the NFL draft. The Bears are going to beat this team handedly. Like Jason said, the Bears win Week 15 on the lakefront against the Cleveland Browns. Sean, Week 16.
Those idiots from up north invade the lakefront, and I already told you, they got this guy, we got these guys. Bears all the way. I'm taking the Bears in Chicago. Bear down, folks.
Let me ask you a question. Is mini Ditka there or regular sized Ditka? No,
mini Ditkas.
I'm again, like I said earlier on the game up north here. I think the Bears take this home. We're at home. I think it's going to be a really good game. It's a shame we have to play these 2 games so late in the season. I'd like to, maybe see it a little bit earlier in the season so we can go and maybe enjoy a nicer warm weather game. But, I think the Bears walk away with this one. I think Ben Johnson learns from their first matchup here with how his personnel matches up. And I think he comes away a clear winner here. And again, I think it's going to be close up north, but I think the Bears dog walk Green Bay at home. And when I say dog walk, I think Ben Johnson is going to want to score as many points as possible. So if we're up by 3 touchdowns, he's going to try to go up by 5. I'm picking the Bears to win.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Jason. I'm going to make a point to that. Like you guys know, I already picked the Bears to lose in Green Bay to the Packers.
Right.
I said before this, I believe this team is kind of in that same situation Detroit was in 2023. You guys, not only do I think the Bears are going to win this game against the Packers in Week 16 at home, but I think this is the turning point for the Chicago Bears. I think this is when Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams insert their dominance, and they start to let the Packers and Packers fans know, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're going to take this rivalry back, and we're going to take all these records back. And I think this is when the Green Bay or the Chicago Bears start a long run of beating the Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to win in Chicago. I think they're going to win by. I'm not going to say they're going to blow them out, because I just said I don't think there's going to be much blowing out between the Bears and Packers. I think these are very competitive teams. They're both they know each other so well. But I think the Bears will win by like 10 or 13. And I think this is kind of their statement game to the Green Bay Packers. We're back. We're not the laughingstock of the NFC North. We're not the laughingstock of the NFL anymore. And we're here to stay. And Caleb Williams is going to end up being that guy. He's going to be franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and he's going to have a lot of success here. And I think he's going to end up beating the shit out of the Packers for the next 8 to 10 years. But this season, they're just 1 year behind, guys, just 1 year late. So I think this year they will split. But next year is when the Bears start asserting their dominance over the Green Bay Packers. Sean.
I'm taking the sweep.
Week 17.
Rooms. Week 17. Oh, the house of horrors for the Chicago Bears. The Bears travel to the Bay to take on the San Francisco 49ers. So in the last 10 years, the Bears, since 2015, we played the Niners 7 times. The Bears are 3-4 in those games. And I will say
Is
this.
this at just total meetings or just at
total meetings? Total meetings. At San Francisco, we've only had 2 matchups in the last 10 years. One was last year where they absolutely beat the crap out of us. The last one was back in 2018. We lost 14-9. But every game of the past 10 years has been relatively close except for last year in 2016. They've all been decided by a touchdown or less. I don't feel any different about this one. I do think the Niners have to be blessed in some year with good health. And they're going to be healthy late in the season and get primed. I think they're going to be a comeback story of the season. They're going to challenge in the NFC West.
I agree, Sean.
NFC West, the Rams, I think, are going to improve. The Cardinals are going to be improved. And I don't see the Bears coming off of 2 games in 3 weeks against the team from up north, heated rivalry. I see them going across country, having a letdown. I'm going to take the stupid 49ers to beat the Bears. I hate it, but I have to.
Oh, Sean, Bruce has a big smile on his face. Bruce, did you just tell us your true fandom? Are you a bigger 49ers fan than you are Bears fan, my friend? Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, you guys said it all. I mean, it's all about health. If Christian McCaffrey is healthy all year long, if Brock Purdy is healthy all year long, both
Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle.
Yeah. Right, George Kittle. Kittle will lose you like 2 or 3 games, but it's always in the middle of the season. It's never at the end of the year. So
yeah, it's really more maintenance injuries. He's never had
right,
super substantial.
So if they're healthy, they're the 49ers. I mean, on offense, they're basically the same team. We went over this during our power rankings. They lost a lot of defensive players. They lost some offensive ones too, but I think the ones that they lost on offense were ones that they were willing to get rid of either because of money or performance wasn't as where they thought it would be. Debo's a really big example of that. I think they like Ayuk more than anything else. That's why they signed him and kept him. But if they're healthy, it's going to be really difficult to beat San Fran and San Francisco. It just is. So, yeah, as long as they're healthy, this is, a tough loss for the Bears, thinking they might have a shot at the playoffs here. But if they're unhealthy, this could be a little sneaky Bears win. You never know. But it all comes down to player health. So I'll give it to the 49ers, though.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I think the Bears are going to lose this game. Not only do I think the Bears are going to lose this game, but I surprisingly, I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually almost tried Justin's skeptical about the 49ers, and I found myself trying to convince him that they're going to be a good team. Not only do
you guys turned me over when we were going over the power rankings. I didn't think they were going to be that good, and then I'm like, I changed my mind.
Not only do I think the Niners are going to be a good team, I would watch out for the Niners to be that dark horse team to make it to like the NFC Championship game. This is just a team that's very well coached. Like you guys just talked about, they've dealt with so many injuries. Well, you know what they did to combat those injuries? They just injected a bunch of youth into this roster. This roster got so much younger this offseason. This team is coached by one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the entire NFL, and Kyle Shanahan. If they can find a way to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, which, Sean, I believe they drafted a running back, didn't they?
Yeah, Jordan James.
Jordan James, who I actually like Jordan James a lot. So they're going to take some of that pressure off Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't have to be the bell cow. He doesn't have to run the ball 50 times a game. I think the 49ers are the team to watch out for in the NFC. I think the
easiest
49ers
schedule in the NFL.
Yep, they got the easiest schedule in the NFL, guys. The easiest schedule in the entire NFL belongs to the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. I think all these guys are going to find a way to stay relatively healthy this season. And I think the 49ers are going to surprise some people. Unfortunately for the Bears, I think this game's going to be closer than it was when the Bears played the Niners last year. I don't think it's going to be any 30-point blowout, but unfortunately for the Chicago Bears, I do think they let this one slip in San Francisco.
And Foster's, I don't disagree with that at all, man. I think that's a very good pick. I think the Rams are going to be pretty damn good football team, man. I really
right now, guys, it's anyone's guess.
Yeah.
But the Niners just added 3 defensive linemen to that defensive line with Nick Bosa there. I mean, I'm telling you guys, the Niners are back. And you know what? I think Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, the Niners being good is good for the NFL. I really do. I think it's good for the NFL.
And guys, how about this matchup in week 1, dude? Steelers and the Jets. Justin Fields versus the team that.
Yeah, Sean, that's not unless they don't have a quarter, unless they still are going into the season without a quarterback. I'm going to pick the Steelers to beat the shit out of the Jets. Sean, what do we got for Week 18?
We wrap up the season, and I wrap up my 10-7 early predictions with the Bears and the Detroit Lions, and
in Chicago.
I'm going to take the split. Yeah, late in the season. This could be a game. If the Bears are sitting there 10-6 coming into this game, this could have a lot of implications on whether they make the playoffs or not. I still have some questions about the Lions. Hopefully, for their fan base, they can gel with this new coaching staff. But I think Ben Johnson and the Bears will be acclimated to the new system. I think they'll be raring, ready to go. They'll have that chip, the new attitude of the Chicago Bears, the new coaching of the Chicago Bears. It's going to be tough to come beat this team, especially in Chicago. I like the Bears in this game, and I actually didn't have the Bears. I didn't think I'd have them at 10 wins, but I do. I have them at 10-7. So –
Sean, kind of a total 180 of the way you started the show here.
You know what? I'll tell you
Sean's like, hey, guys, just be prepared for this to be some bumps in the road, and they're going to struggle.
Well, listen,
here he is, like,
there are going to be bumps. There are going to be bumps in the road. But when you start breaking down the schedule, and I could be wrong, that Cincinnati could be a loss that gives the Bears that knocks the Bears to 9-8. That they could end up beating the Raiders. That brings them back to 10-7. There's still a lot of question marks on this team. There's zero part of me that thinks this is not going to be a bumpy start. I'm hoping that this staff, this well put together, long tenured NFL staff, will have this team prepared. The skill of these players on this team, from DJ Moore to Adunze to man, hopefully the offensive line is healthy. You got Tooney, Darnell Wright. Hopefully this all comes together and meshes really well, and the Bears don't get swept by Ben Johnson's former club. But nothing in my heart of hearts thinks that this is not going to be a bumpy road. I don't think it's going to be a super smooth transition.
Sean or Jason, real quick before we get to your Week 18 take with Detroit coming to the lakefront here. Once again, guys, over 150 people watching the show here live. Thank you so much. Sean, can we get a round of applause for all of our listeners and everybody in the chat here, man? You guys are the reason we do this. You guys are the reason that you guys are the ones who make this possible. Well, we appreciate you guys. Just hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Sorry, Jason, you can go ahead.
No. Hit that like and subscribe. Hit it as many times as you can. I think you can only hit it once, but try it twice anyways. I'll tell you what. This is a game that I think the Bears lose. It ranks me up at about 9-8, which I think is fairly reasonable. I'd love to see a 10-win season or more. I think the only way the Bears really win this game is if Detroit has walked away with the division and they're resting guys. They've already locked in home field advantage, but I don't think they will against the Eagles, which means they're going to be playing this game full starters, full bore. I think it is one coach trying to assert his dominance over his former subordinate, and I think they win. If they're healthy, I mean, they're, again, just like you said about San Francisco and about Baltimore and about Philadelphia, the Detroit Lions are a very well-rounded team. Our buddy Chris keeps saying, we lost our coach, but, we hired the quarterback's coach as our offensive coordinator. So, they didn't forget all those plays. They didn't forget how to run the offense. So, and you know what? Aiden Hutchinson is back. That man is a monster. Their biggest hole still is in the secondary, but it did get better last year. We'll see if it gets a little bit better this year. They're just a better team. I mean, if we can stop the run, great. I think the Bears' biggest hole is at edge and at linebacker, which is really not good when you're going up against a high-scoring defense like the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to give them the loss here. Regrettably, I think that puts us at 9-8, which is above what Vegas has of 8.5. So, take the over, but you might want to hedge your bets.
Hold on, Jay. You finished at 9-8.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second, guys. Let me just do Detroit here, and we'll talk about how we all think they're going to finish. Yeah. I disagree with Jay on this one. With all due respect, Jay, I think this is. I already said it, you guys. I think the Bears Packers coming to Chicago in Week 16, and the Bears win. That's their coming out party. I think this is kind of like that Detroit team from 2023 who was like, "Hey, watch out for us next year." I think the Bears are going to beat the shit out of the Lions in Chicago. I do not like Jared Goff playing in Chicago in Week 18 in the frigid cold. I think the Detroit Lions are going to run into a lot of problems. I could see numerous turnovers by the Lions, maybe 2 or 3 picks by Jared Goff, and I think the Bears beat the shit out of the Lions and tell the entire NFL, we're coming for you guys next year. Watch out for us. Whether they make the playoffs or not, I don't know. I also have the Bears finishing with an overall record of 9 wins and 8 losses. So, Sean, you said you think they could finish 10-7. We said 9-8. What do you think how do you feel about their playoff chances? Do you think that gets the Bears a wild card spot? Do you think that gives them just on the outside looking in? What do you think? I mean, remember, you guys, they're in the NFC North, in which we could see maybe 3 teams make the playoffs again.
I'm trying to think. You got, I think the Rams and the Niners make the playoffs. I think the Lions make the playoffs. I think the Eagles and the Redskins make the playoffs. That's 5.
Like 2 teams left then, right?
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think. I said the Bucks, didn't I?
No.
Well, the Bucks will win their division. Yeah, they're going to walk away.
Then the Bucks are another one.
Yeah, and then did you have the Packers or Vikings in there? I mean,
I'm not putting the Packers in the playoffs. I don't think they're that good of a football team.
So you pick the Lions to win the division, the NFC North, which means only 1 team left coming out as a wild card on the North.
I have Eagles, Detroit, Washington, the Rams, Tampa Bay, the Niners. Oh God, who am I going to take for this last one? By default, I right now, just for shits and giggles, I'll take the Bears. I think maybe they'll sneak in. I know we had the Vikings over them in our power rankings, but I still have a problem with that quarterback position because
Sean, just because you have the Vikings as a better roster doesn't mean that they're better. If they don't have
that's what I'm saying.
JJ McCarthy comes out and sucks, which we talked about when we did our power rankings. If he comes out and sucks, this is a totally different team.
Right.
And
that's fair.
You know what? I had the Bears just behind them in the power rankings last week. So I mean, if you look at it this way, they split with the Vikings, they sweep the Packers, and they split with Detroit. The Bears could definitely make the playoffs, sneak in as a wild card, and don't hold my foot to the fire on this, because as we get closer to July, I could have the Bears at 8 wins. So.
Yeah, and you know what, you guys, we've talked about this before we got into the schedule here. This is our way too early predictions. We haven't even had training camp, let alone preseason. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of injuries. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of 53-man roster cuts. We don't know any of that stuff. But I know that I believe that the Bears will finish somewhere between that 8-9 and 10-7, somewhere in between there. Maybe 8-9, maybe 9-8.
That's where I'm at too.
7, but somewhere in there. And ultimately, either if they don't make the playoffs, they'll be right on the outside looking in. And like I said, guys, this year, I think somebody said it early on when we got on the show here. It might have been Jebediah. This season is about showing improvement. It's about the marriage between Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and just getting better every day, making sure each and every one of these guys learns their role in this team, learns the scheme, and knows what everybody else is supposed to do in every single play. And they play the game more in continuity, and they play as a unit, something we haven't seen here in Chicago. And at the end of the day, guys, if that's what happens and the Bears do miss the playoffs, I will still be happy. I've waited. I was born in 1988, and I have never seen the Bears win a Super Bowl. If it takes another 2 years, I'm okay with it. And you know what, Sean, like you've said numerous times, the journey can be just as fun as the destination. Guys, enjoy it. Enjoy the growth of Caleb Williams. Enjoy Ben Johnson opening up this playbook and starting to get creative and innovative like he did in Detroit. Enjoy all of it. Watch the growth of these guys. See what happens. And I'm here for all of it. I love the Chicago Bears, and I think this is the year, like I said, where the NFL starts to go, hey, watch out for them Chicago Bears over there. They're starting to look a little scary. The next season might be pretty scary.
I think they're already starting to say that, Kyle.
Yeah, next year they're going to have an easier schedule, guys. I mean, by default, because they have the second hardest schedule in the NFL. So by default, they'll have an easier schedule next year.
I'll say this, and I don't know. I know, Kyle, you're a Cubs fan. Jay, I know you're not. But when I say that, it was a joy watching them grow in 2014. It was heartbreak loss. I believe it was the Mets in 2014.
Swept.
2015, you come back, you feel that heartbreak, but you're like, man, this team's so close. And then they come out in 2016 and lose 4 games in April and scored like 900 runs. You're like, holy crap, this team's for real. And then just watching that development.
They just coasted.
I just use that because this is kind of like I see the Bears, man. Like I said at the top of the show, fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride. 10 wins that I have on this way too early schedule is probably way too much. Okay, I'm going to say that right off the bat. You guys are probably right. They probably lose in Cincinnati. They probably beat the Raiders. There's probably a couple of games on the schedule I gave them wins, like the Steelers, that they could easily lose. Mike Tomlin being one of the best coaches in football. There's a lot of things that I'll probably do different in a couple months down the road. Having a little fun with it right now. I got my Bears excitement going on, but as I said, dude, and I mean this wholeheartedly, and I don't want to take anybody away. The coaching staff is going to have growing pains. Ben Johnson's a great offensive mind, but again, people don't realize the jump from OC to head coach, the undertaking of managing the entire roster, putting that all together, getting out there.
Yeah, and Sean, the roster's not complete.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's going to have to grow with the decision-making, checking in with Dennis Allen. This guy's never done anything on the defensive side of the ball before. That's something new for Ben Johnson as well. He's going to have his bumps on the road. I just don't want Bears fans, say the Bears, looking at the schedule, I highly doubt that they're going to start 0-4. But if they start 0-4 and they look good, I just don't want Bears fans backing off on Ben Johnson like, hey, this guy isn't the coach we thought he was going to be. Unless he looks like Matt Eberflus,
right.
Which I don't think is going to happen. I'm just saying.
Sean, that's almost impossible. That's almost impossible.
Well, I hope
it's
so.
Impossible. It's almost got to the point where Matt Eberflus looked like he was trying to lose games. Yeah, all right, Jason, what's your synopsis on the Chicago Bears season 2020? They got them at 9-8. What do you think it does for their future?
Well, I think it's an improvement because you almost double your win total. It puts you in the right direction. I don't think 9-8 gets them into the playoffs. And honestly, if we don't make the playoffs, I don't think that's necessarily a disappointment. If we're a 5-win team again, that may or may not be a disappointment either. If we're a 5-win team and we look just like we did last year with the defense making sloppy plays, Stevenson's out there yapping at the fans when he should be paying attention to the defense, to the offense, then yeah, you know what? It's a disaster. But if everybody looks good, everybody's winning, these games are close, we're in games. Let's not discount the fact that Caleb Williams brought the Bears back at the end of halves and at the end of games quite a few times last year, and that was really all on his own with no other help from anybody besides obviously like his wide receiver. So don't discount Caleb Williams. I know he did not have a Jaden Daniels type of year, but I think he's a much better quarterback. I think he is a real quarterback. He's what you look for in a quarterback. He's pocket first with insane out-of-pocket ability. Really, the best comp you can think of is Aaron Rodgers, really, when he's out of the pocket. His arm strength is ridiculous, but it's still a new team. It's still a new regime. There's a lot of young talent on this team. We went from a very old team to a very young team. Like I said earlier in the broadcast here, we don't know who our starting Sam linebacker is. We don't have enough depth at DB in my mind. We don't really have that premier edge rusher. And honestly, we're still hemming and hawing about who's starting at right and left tackle. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions that I think will, hopefully get resolved by the time the season starts. But, I'm a little worried about the defense more than I am about the offense. So we'll see what happens. Dennis Allen, this coaching staff, Bieniemy, yelling at players. I think they're going to get the guys in the right state of mind, in the right positions to make plays. It's just going to be up to the players to make the plays. So if they can do that, we're going to be all right. We'll see though.
I agree with you, Jason. The roster's not complete. They are missing a defensive end, and you're not going to get that this year. That's not available in free agency unless you're going to trade. I don't think the Bears are going to trade for anybody. You're missing the Jahmyr Gibbs, that premier running back. He's not on this roster. You're not going to see him this year. This roster's not complete. But you know what? Like you said, as long as the Bears can show improvement, as long as they can, it looks like they're starting to figure things out. They're starting to gain an identity. They know who they're going to be next year. They know what they need in the offseason. Another thing about this season, guys, is all these draft picks that we've been talking about constantly. Sean, Luther Bird and Colston Loveland, these guys, this is the rookie season. It's going to take a while for them to get integrated in the NFL. There's an adjustment period. But next year, these guys will be. I mean, you can see Colston Loveland catching 800 yards. You could see Luther Burger being a 1,200 yard receiver. That's a scenario in my head that could happen. This year that's not going to happen. Once those guys get better, once you see with this next draft class how they impact this team, once Ben Johnson gets his fingerprints on this roster, which might take a season, which is okay, I think the Bears are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I do believe that Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback. I think you're going to start to see him calm down a little bit. You're going to start to see him hit those underneath routes. You're going to see him not miss those deep balls where guys are wide open. And he's going to be a guy who makes everybody around him better as opposed to a quarterback
More
who needs a
efficient.
good team to win a Super Bowl. Yeah, he's certainly going to be more efficient. And I think you guys, these Bears are going to be fun to watch for a very long time to come here, especially.
Let me ask you guys a question. I don't know if we're going to be very good on offense here, but what do you think realistically for Caleb Williams his stats should look like this year? Because really, we're gonna hinge everything in our future on him. So,
Sean, before you answer that, real quick, I mean, Jason, you heard me talk about this a million times over the last 2 months. They should have addressed the offense more than the defense. So they should let the defense be. If they feel like they can't accomplish everything in one offseason, then just leave the defense be and make sure that Caleb Williams has the tools around him to become a better quarterback and a franchise quarterback in the NFL. And you know what? You said earlier, I'm worried about the defense and the offense. I agree, and that's the way it should be with a second-year quarterback going and learning a new system. And you know what? I think the Bears do have a very dangerous offense, and I think they will get that left tackle situation figured out. And even if they don't, Braxton Jones is serviceable, and they can go get one next year. I expect the Bears by the end of the season to be scoring a lot of points. That's why I just said, you guys, I think they're going to have that coming out party against the Packers. I think they're going to beat the shit out of the Lions. I think you're going to start to see the greatness on this team and the greatness in Caleb Williams come the end of the season. But Sean, what do you think? You answer the question.
For me, with this offense, I think it starts slow. I do think he breaks the 4,000 yard mark for the first time in Chicago Bears history. I think it'll be slightly over, about say 4,350. I think Vernon rookie year about 650. I think DJ and Rome both over 1,000. You're going to have, 600 yards maybe out of the backfield. 600 yards, 700 yards to your tight ends.
More than that.
Yeah, because you get two, so maybe like 800, 900.
Quite possibly. The way I see Colston Loveland, maybe 800. I see Colston Loveland around 500 and Cole Kmet around 300. The only reason I'm taking Cole a little bit less is because
he's going to be more at red zone.
Exactly. He's going to be more in the red zone. So I'm taking him a little less. But if it comes to me, my top performers on the offense are going to be who we expect them to be. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Colston Loveland. I am going to put Colston Loveland up there. Hopefully he returns from the shoulder. They said that
DeAndre Swift
training camp. And then DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift he's going
to have a good season.
Yes. Coming off a career year, I think he's going to have a chance to replicate that in this offense. I really do.
You'd like to see him hit 1,000 this year.
Yeah, I mean, you guys remember that.
If I'm looking really quick at passing touchdowns, I'm going to say about 27, 20, 28, and 5 rushing touchdowns for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, Jason. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole team. I do think that
and single-digit interceptions. Sorry, Kyle.
No, it's cool, man. I think people should not sleep on DeAndre Swift, especially in fantasy football. I think you guys, you saw the games last year. I forgot what team it was against. You guys can remind me. Maybe it was the Rams, where he had like 170 all-purpose yards, and he was like 76% of the Bears' offense. He's going to have more games like that in this offense for sure. He's their Jahmyr Gibbs right now. That's the best version of Jahmyr Gibbs they got. Keep an eye on DeAndre Swift, but yeah. Jason, in terms of Caleb Williams, I think I gave you guys my stat projections about a month ago now. I'd say they're going to stay right around the same. I think Caleb Williams is going to throw somewhere around 4,300 yards and 31 touchdowns. I think you guys, for the first time in Bears history, the Chicago Bears quarterback this season under Ben Johnson is going to throw for over 4,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. I do.
Hey Kyle, really quick. Do you want to know what else? I'm definitely taking the Bears to lose to the Ravens. You know who the Ravens play before the Bears?
Bye week.
That's right. A freaking bye. Could you make it any easier for the Baltimore freaking Ravens, dude? For the love of everything.
Well, and another thing, Jason, I want to ask you this, because Sean and I had the conversation about this before the show. Why do the Bears have to play in Washington every time they play? Why? It's been like 5 years in a row now. You remember the 3-touchdown game with DJ Moore and Justin Fields? Yeah. You remember the game last year with the Hail Mary? It's like, why are we always going to Washington? Washington can't come to Chicago? That's a real
I don't
fair
know.
competitive advantage for Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams in the start of their career. Hey, you can just come to my house every year.
I think these NFL teams, I would love to be in like those meetings when they hash this out, because it's not like a one day and they figure it all out. It's over weeks, and they've got a lot of things to consider. They've got, your Bears, Packers, all your rivalry games are going to be important. When these teams are playing, I'm sure every team is vying for the national broadcast, the Sunday night football, Monday night football, Thursday, and honestly, guys, these Friday and Saturday games are going to get more eyeballs on them. So you can really consider them as premium games as well as national games. It's not like, on a Sunday at 12 where you're going to miss the Rams game because you're busy watching the Bears also playing at 12. Now you can focus on these games. I think they have a lot to deal with, and I think they do try to consider some of these matchups and last year and rivalries and, storylines. And I think sometimes certain things fall through and certain things don't. I mean, I don't know why the Bears consistently always seem to have a super hard schedule. Last year, they said it was a really easy schedule, and it turned out to be an extremely difficult schedule. So I don't know. I don't know why we have to go there. I think it's probably because people in Washington don't know how to fly, or they're afraid to fly, or maybe they can't, map out everything else. I don't know. Washington's not a great place, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't even know why they have their own team. I know they're a charter franchise, but I've never been a big fan of Washington or Washington, D.C. So yeah, I'd love to see them come to Chicago and lose. But you know what? I actually think one of my first Bears games ever was a Bears-Washington game at Soldier Field. We're talking a long time ago, like 85, 83. No, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I feel like we always travel to Philly, and I think a lot of these things, like we go out there. I think some of them is stadiums now. They want to have more games at SoFi televised more often. They want more games in Las Vegas televised because of the stadium. So maybe it'll all change when the Bears get that new stadium in Arlington Heights. But that's a good question. I don't know. I think they have a hard time trying to make everybody happy with the schedule, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, hey, really quick, can I switch my Bengals pick now? Because I'm looking at their schedule, dude. They play 3 straight home games before the freaking Bears, dude, and they play the Jets before the Bears. We get the Ravens for the
so they get a bye week as well. Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, dude.
No, you guys, I agree with you, Jason. I know it's unavoidable. It just sucks. I feel like, it's probably the same thing Patriots are saying when they're playing the Bears. Like, why are we always playing in Chicago? Why are we always playing in Chicago? It sucks. I know it's unavoidable. It's almost impossible to make an NFL schedule. But you guys,
if you want to shut up your people, your dissenters, you can't beat Jaden Daniels is better, then you know what? Go back to his house and fucking beat him. Just beat him. There's nothing else to do. Don't throw.
I will tell you guys this, dude. That Ravens schedule is tricky, dude. At Buffalo, then they get the Browns, obviously, which whatever.
Sean's just sitting over there studying every schedule in the NFL.
well, you got the Bills, then the Browns, then the Lions, then at the Chiefs, then the Texans, then the Rams, then the bye, then the Bears.
I think the Ravens will still win most of those games, man. The Ravens are going to be really good football. They're going to be a really good regular season team for sure.
They don't beat Buffalo and they don't beat Kansas City.
I think they could beat Kansas City.
Yeah,
I think that's a revenge. I mean, Sean, they lost by a toe last year, and that's a revenge game for them. But before we get out of here, guys, I just want to say, anybody watching on Twitter, please go over to our YouTube channel and please hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you guys watching so much. Everybody in the chat, you've been absolutely awesome tonight. And real quick, you guys, to finish off the chats here, Vernon says Ruben Hippolyte might be an important piece when playing against Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I agree, solely because that speed. Yeah, but everybody out there, everybody listening, Brignan, Bruce, and Furious, Ant Mass, Mike Ross, you guys help me out. Illinois Jones, Phil, Breaking News, but everybody, we appreciate you guys so much. Dustin, Vernon, we appreciate you joining the show and tuning in and helping us in the chat here. Anything else you guys want to get to before we get out of here?
Anything you want to get out there before we wrap up?
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
All right. Yeah. Let's go. That a boy. Awesome book.
Yeah, we had a couple new listeners in the chat today. I want to say thank you. Big shout out to them as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please hit that subscribe button. And then keep an eye out for, I don't know if it's Sean and Brandon, Dustin and Brandon tomorrow.
Hey, Brandon, I'm down. I'm just not doing a 3-hour and 40-minute podcast tomorrow.
Yeah. Illinois Jones, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. You guys are the stars. You're the stars, man. You're the stars. And
tons of great comments today.
F Green Bay, I love it. Thank you guys so much, Sean, Jason. It's always a blast. It's always a pleasure. It's exciting. It's exciting news. The Bears schedule is out. It seems like we're really every week we're waiting for this next threshold in the NFL season. Like, training camp's going to start here pretty soon. So it's always a blast talking to you guys, man.
Hey, maybe next year we'll stop talking about the preseason. We'll start talking about the postseason.
Yeah. Good news, Bruce.
What's up, guys?
Great news, Bruce.
Going on, man?
Bear down, buddy.
Fun show. Whoa.
Love y'all. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Love
Everybody be
y'all.
safe.
And bear down.
Bear down.